Hmm? Ah! Oh. Today's podcast is brought to you by Audible. Get a free audiobook download and 30-day free trial at audibletrial.com/GOM. There's tons of titles to choose from. Check it out.
Burn them all, he said. Burn them in their homes, burn them in their beds. Tell me if your precious Randy commanded you to kill your own father and stand by while thousands of men, women, and children burned alive, would you have done it? Would you have kept your oath then? First, I killed the pyromancer, and then, when the king turned to flee, I drove my sword into his back. Burn them all, he kept saying. Burn them all. I don't think he expected to die. He meant to burn with the rest of us and rise again. Reborn as a dragon, turn his enemies to ash. I slit his throat to make sure that didn't happen.
Well met, swineherds and salt wives, and welcome to our podcast. I'm Lord Sterling, Sir Duncan, conqueror of Perplexus.
And I am Lady Kristen of House McWugglebergino, the sleepy unicorn of madness.
And this is Game of Microphones, episode 67.
On this episode of our series Rewatch, we're covering Game of Thrones Season 3, Episode 5, Kissed by Fire.
Yes,
Bow-chicka
indeed.
wow.
And in case you're not already aware, this is a spoiler-filled podcast, so we're talking about these episodes from the perspective of someone who's current on the show at this point, which is during the gap between Season 7 and Season 8. So beware if you're not current. You still have time to get cut in half by the Hound, so you don't have to listen. This is your warning.
Imp slap.
Warning.
Spoiler alert. Spoiler alert.
All right. Cool.
Yeah. So what'd you think about this episode?
I liked it. Yeah, I mean, coming off of last week's episode, anything after that is just kind of like, whatever. Yeah. But you know what? It was funny because when I was done with all my notes, I'm like, holy crap, did they cover a lot?
Yeah, you're telling me.
I mean, they just went from place to place to place to place. And like, there's so many little nuggets all throughout that,
Lots of
I had to
nuggets.
watch twice.
Oh, nice.
In the last 24 hours. And I still don't feel like I got all of it. So I'm sure we'll get it by the end of this.
Yeah.
I have like mainly I have like more themes and just a couple of moments, and my all-time favorite Game of Thrones scene is in this episode.
Oh yeah, what scene is that?
Well, it was the episode I was wrong about last week, Duncan.
Nice. Yeah, that is like right up there with me too, but we probably have totally different reasons for liking it. You probably just liked seeing Nikolai Coster-Waldau's nutsack. But
you know what? I looked really hard, and you can't see it.
You can see his nutsack. At least you can see the silhouette of it. You can't see his dick.
I think that it was all taped up. We saw Oliver's junk, that's for sure. Lots of Oliver junk.
You could see his sack, but you couldn't see his pillar.
I'm gonna get so many emails now of still shots of this.
Oh my god. It's veiny. Jeez, these guys are good. These listeners with their technology to make these pictures and improve these pictures.
Look, you could see Jaime's sack. No. You know what? And I'll talk about that a little bit more. But what did he say? Oh, so it dawned on me while I was watching the episode, though, last night, that of course this scene was not in King's Landing, because there's no way Jaime Lannister is in
still in rough shape.
in a public bathroom.
Yeah,
at King's Landing.
Or just being in like such rough shape. By the time he's back to King's Landing, he's already like, he's got the haircut, he's mostly healed.
Yeah.
He's still emotionally all screwed up, but he's real messed up here. I
think my memory just puts Qyburn in King's Landing.
Oh yeah, it happens. You
know what I mean? I'm like, he's been there for forever. He went from Harrenhal to King's Landing.
Plus, there's just so much stuff happens. It's impossible to keep everything straight.
Yes, but I am wrong. You were right. It will never be said again.
Na boo boo. So what's your number 5?
Well, I guess we could just go right into that scene.
All right. That's one of mine too. So I'll piggyback on, or maybe I'll add on to yours, and then I'll pick something else for another one.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. There's enough to talk about.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So this, okay. First of all, this scene is just so beautifully done. It just, every single time it's about to happen, I just get really excited. You see that Jaime has been, he's been
working
with Qyburn. He's what?
Working out, I said.
Yeah. Well, he's been with Qyburn. He's refused milk of the poppy. He's gone through a really excruciatingly painful.
How about that? Why do you think he turned down the milk of the poppy?
Because he didn't trust no maester.
Doesn't trust anybody?
He was a non-maester guy who already told him, I might have to cut off your arm.
That's true. That's true.
I think it was very smart for Jaime to say, no, you know what? I'll stay awake for this.
He's like, are you even a maester? He's like, well, the Citadel took my chain, but we don't need to worry about that.
I know. If you just sit there, you're like, oh yeah, I don't think we should have saved this guy.
He's got that great line, right? They found some of my experiments too bold.
Oh gosh, yeah, and like flash forward in my brain to him resurrecting the mountain.
Yeah, or just picking up that that white hand when they bring it when it almost attacks Cersei.
Oh,
and they kill it, and he's just looking at the hand like, oh my god. Well, the rumor is that he dabbled in necromancy at the Citadel. He both was cutting open living bodies to figure out how they work, which he admits to somebody at some point, and then he also was dabbling in necromancy, which is basically the magic that the White Walkers use to resurrect their whites. It's a necromancy magic. So yeah, it's pretty.
What if Qyburn is the Night King?
He could be like the one thing that could understand their magic enough to influence it or something. Maybe he's
got like some Jedi Dark Sith Lord power. Outrageous Theories by Duncan and Kristen.
Yeah.
So, it's just, he comes into this bath, he comes into this bath area, and, he's got a fever, no doubt. He's got an infection. He's exhausted from being, pent up basically for easily over a year. He's malnutritioned. He's delirious from pain and, lack of sleep and lack of honor and lack of respect and just lack of basic human dignity for so long.
Yeah.
And
it's so rough. He looks so rough. Oh my god.
It looks like one bath isn't going to do it.
Yeah, like when he's talking to Roose Bolton outside and Roose Bolton's toying with him, he's testing him just like to try to get a rise out of him to see if the rumors about his sister are true, So he's like, you haven't heard, Stannis sacked the city and your sister. How do I put this?
So gross.
He's like leaving him hanging there, and like as if the torment of losing his hand and being treated like drinking horse piss and everything wasn't bad enough. Now he's like thrust with the realization and the suggestion that his sister has been brutally killed and raped, and so it's torturing him. And when finally Bolton says, "Oh, it's she's fine," he drops to his knees, and it just hurt me watching him like go through that torment and suspense. It's like every bit of strength he had was just keeping himself together to find out what happened there.
Right,
it was intense.
Yeah, that whole thing wasn't that. Yeah, it was. Last night when we were watching, my husband goes, "Don't you think it's interesting that Roose Bolton has like all of these, polite niceties that, the find him a place to stay and unlock him, and I'm sorry, my lady, and blah, 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 but I'm going to fuck your mind up right now." He just like goes right into psychological warfare on so Jaime. Funny. It was such an interesting scene, for Roose Bolton. Like he played this Jekyll and Hyde within like 60 seconds of each other.
From my perspective, it's not only is it psychological like manipulation and messing with him there, but like I said, he's also trying to learn the truth of the situation by prodding at him about his sister. So it's like a dual faceted operation. He's fucking with him because he doesn't like him probably, and then he's also trying to like learn the truth because information is power. That's so funny of Dave.
Poor Jaime. He's like, nobody likes me, everybody hates me. Guess I'll go eat worms.
Basically.
So anyway, especially next to Brienne, like he comes in and there's Brienne, and she looks like she's been there for a while.
Just
she's
lounging
clean.
in the tub.
She's got like a new layer of skin on her.
She's looking looks silky smooth.
Gorgeous, right?
Dolphin
and
smooth.
Here comes dirty Jaime. Yeah, dolphin smooth. Yeah. And she's just looks at him. She's like, "Excuse me, don't get into my tub. Thank you very much."
Right. There's another tub.
So, it's interesting because I think he does this because he trusts her, and that it's like he needed to be comforted somehow. And I mean, of course he wanted to unnerve her because he likes to do that, and she's so easy to
and he can't resist.
Unnerve.
But he is genuinely trying to like apologize and make a connection. And I like when he first gets in the tub there, he says that he doesn't want to be I don't intend to be the first Lannister to die in a bathtub, which sort of foreshadows Tywin dying on the toilet. But
makes me happy.
I think he's legitimately worried for his life too. He's like, I got to be in a tub with someone who I know won't let me drown.
Right, exactly. He's like, you've made a promise. You have to keep me alive. So I'm going to sit here with my stump, and I'm going to try and get clean.
Yeah. We see another one of those beautiful Brienne 180s in this scene as well, where she has one attitude, and then like something that Jaime says triggers a realization in her that totally changes her perspective and attitude towards Jaime.
Well, the way that the story unfolds is wonderful. It's just so well done by, the writers, and by the way the scene is set, and by Gwendolyn Christie, and just her nonverbal kind of reactions to this beautiful, quiet performance that Jaime is putting on, right?
Yeah, and even like before he starts getting into the meat of it, just her reactions to like his taunting at first, like really like shows you where
she's very closed off, right? Like
yeah.
she had her knees around her chest, and then she just all of a sudden she just lets that all go.
Boom! As soon as he starts questioning her honor and Renly, like she doesn't care about modesty. She doesn't care about any of that.
She stood
anymore.
right up, didn't she?
Yeah, and I think that showed him like that since she had been so guarded and so protected that she cared that much. Like she was that offended by what he was saying that she was willing to like give him the full show, like without even thinking about it. He was like, "Well, I like really fucked up here. Like I'm sorry. Like I mean it. I'm apologizing. I'm sick of fighting." He says, "Let's call it truce." So I just thought that was really powerful. Like it said a lot without saying anything when she stood up in that moment, and it was like, like this. I'm fucking serious. Like this. Like you thought I was serious about like covering myself, but that's nothing compared to this.
Right. Exactly. Don't question her honor. Don't question her loyalty. To those that she believes in, and even though she did love Renly, and she still protects him even posthumously. How do you say that word?
Posthumously?
posthumously. That just sounds wrong, but I think you're right. Yeah. I think you're right. It just doesn't sound right. I don't like it. It's weird.
Because it's a T and an H right in a row. You'd think it would be but it's like posthumously.
Posthumously. Yeah, I don't like that word, but that's okay. So where was I? Oh, so but you can tell that she means what she says what she means, she carries it with her. You know, she's 100% or 0%. Like, there's no in between for this girl, you know, which I love that about her.
Yeah, it's awesome.
So Jaime starts to confess for I think this is the first time that he's told anybody this story. You could tell that there's pain as he's saying it. It's all over his face, and it's like he's trying to make sense of the memory, and he's trying to tell it with the honor that he still has deep inside, because he's been wearing his lack of honor as kind of a shield for the past 17 years.
And I think that he's so impressed with Brienne, just with how she handles herself and the way that she takes her honor so seriously, that I think it's like a desperate moment where finally, like, she gives him this look, you know, after they're sitting there naked, and she gives him this look, and he's like, there's the look. I've seen it all these 17 years, and it's just like a moment of desperation where he's trying to impart to her that, like, you know, I'm a good too, you know?
Well, he doesn't want that look from her. I agree with you. He's like, no, that's too far. Like, everybody else can do that, but he considers her an equal, and he trusts her.
Yeah, I think at this point, like, he can't let it slide. It's crazy.
It's so cool. And he just sets it. He's like, have you ever heard of wildfire? You know?
Yeah.
And, the Mad King was obsessed with it. And then you get this little breadcrumb trail from, back with Blackwater, with how he said the pyromancer was told to stash it all over the city.
Yeah,
right?
He had his pyromancer place caches of wildfire all over the city.
Put it by the shops and the houses and
beneath the scepter of Baelor.
Right. So it's all over the city, which is why we know there was so much wildfire, even besides what Cersei was having made and Tyrion was having made. There was already this huge cache of it anyways. So considering he mentioned the Sept of Baelor, he says, so he had his pyromancer place caches of wildfire all over the city, beneath the Sept of Baelor and the slums of Flea Bottom, under houses, stables, taverns, even beneath the Red Keep itself. Does that we saw what happened to the Sept of Baelor at the places that he's listed specifically? I think we need to keep an eye on. So I'm worried about the Red Keep now. Oh, because where's the rest of it? That's a really great point.
Beneath the Red Keep.
Great point. Mm-hmm. Ooh, I can't wait to see that place erupt.
Oh man, Cersei
totally
could maybe Cersei knows about it since she found out she had people researching it. She found out about the other stuff at the Sept of Baelor, and she set a trap luring people in there and exploding it. If she knows about that, she would know about the secret network of tunnels beneath the Red Keep as well. She could house up inside the Red Keep in a siege and make them think that they're breaking down the walls to get her and lure them in, but secretly she's left through the tunnels, and she could explode the Red Keep, kill everybody else.
Yeah, but do you think that she's one to do that kind of research? Or
we know she did already, because she had Qyburn investigating the rumors of the caches of wildfire. So maybe Jaime did mention it to her, because that's in season 7. She says, any information about any word on that thing I had you looking into? And he says, yes, we did find out something. And that's when we learn about the wildfire under the Sept of Baelor. So she has been having people look into this. I bet there's been people looking all around the Red Keep, trying to figure out the tunnels and stuff in the process.
That would be, that's interesting. I don't know.
I know,
that's interesting. So anyway, so he starts to talk about the Day of Reckoning, right? He said, Varys is brought up. Aerys did not listen to Varys, with in regards to Tywin and his army. Jaime, he didn't listen to Jaime, and Jaime was like, I knew my father. He was not going to stay on a losing side. Varys was probably like, listen, man, this is a terrible idea. You don't want to be doing this. But who was it? Which snake in the garden was it that said, no, you can trust the Lannisters?
You did listen to Grandmaster Pycelle, that
he
gray,
listened to
sunken
that
cunt.
asshole Pycelle. And, you know, I mean, even... And it totally makes sense because Pycelle has been Cersei's...
Always.
Rumor person, and you know we saw that
it was all
extra
Lannister.
scene. Well, we saw that extra scene between Pycelle and Tywin.
Yeah, I can't believe they didn't include that. It says so much.
What a brilliant
That's
scene
the payoff
that was.
for his hunchbackness.
Right, so he gets to stand up. He's like, oh, it feels so good. You know, and so Pycelle is probably just as responsible for the sacking of King's Landing as Tywin and his army is, right?
Oh, absolutely.
And then what happens is that he sacks the city. And then, so Aerys, and so Jaime's just unveiling, you know, Aerys has told him to go out and bring him his father's head. Yeah. Right? And to blow up the entire city, kill all the children, kill all the women. And you can see Brienne is just more and more horrified.
She's just in awe, like, oh my God, nobody has ever heard this before. This is the first anybody's ever hearing this.
And it's like she knows this. She knows that this is like, not only that, but she knows that she is the first one to hear this story.
Otherwise, she would have heard it already.
Because everybody else is dead. Yeah. That knows this story, right? He killed the pyromancer, and then he killed Aerys in the back, and he's just devastated over this memory. And he knows it was the right thing that he did, but it's just it killed his reputation. It killed him. It killed him being a man. You know, he was from then on the Kingslayer. And what was it really going to be? Do you want to be the Kingslayer? Or do you want to be the Kinslayer? Because those were his two choices: kill your father and the rest of the city, or kill the king and the pyromancer king.
He's like, which one's a more evil bastard? My father's just horrible. Treats me like garbage. He married my sister off to a drunken bastard of a king, you know.
Right.
He's murdered entire houses.
This is like
Aerys, just a monster. You know, like, where do you...
I forget which philosopher it is, but there's a philosopher out there. Is it Immanuel Kant? It could be Immanuel Kant, who says something to the effect of, you know, would you kill one person for the sake of 1,000? It's like the ultimate moral dilemma. Would you kill a child if it meant that you saved thousands? Right? Have to do it.
Remember when this question is posed on this TV show to Sir Davos of House Seaworth? Stannis says, what's the life of one bastard compared to the 7 kingdoms? And Davos says, everything.
Yes.
Yeah, it's the the question, moral relativity and ends justifying the means.
Right.
The whole Machiavellian concept of being
and you're
ruthless
right.
to accomplish your goals.
Circles back over the seasons. You're right about that. That's a great point. That's a great point. So at this point, I think when we get to the very end of this scene and Jaime passes out and Brienne catches him and says, you know, oh, the Kingslayer. He goes, my name is Jaime. Like he's looking at her. Well, he's not looking at her because he's passed out, but Brienne is the only one at this point that truly knows Jaime, who he is, what he's about, what his story is. He wants her friendship. He wants her trust.
He's just like, please, He
wants her. He wants her to view him as Jaime Lannister, not the Kingslayer, not the Oathbreaker, as a human. Yeah. And I think that this scene is where we all humanize Jaime Lannister and we all collectively go, all right,
I get it now.
We love this guy.
Yeah. He's just understanding what he's been through just hits you. And I love how this scene ends with the position that the two of them are in. He is, about to pass out and he lurches forward towards her and she grabs him and she's cradling him for the second time. We've seen this pose once already, which is the first time she grabbed him and had him draped across her, like in anger, and it was like she was about to pummel him, and it looked like they were about to kiss. It was while they were on the road a few weeks ago. And this time they're in the same position, but instead of being driven by rage and fury and like wanting to beat him to a pulp, it's being driven by love and trying to protect him and save him. So it's interesting to see that this pose occur twice, mirroring each other, completely opposite, like with what the motivation is for being in that position with each other. So it's just like very brilliantly artistically rendered. These different things that we see repeatedly, and they change, like the way that these two poses are illustrates that 180-degree shift that Brienne is undertaking in all these different ways.
It's almost like she represents the viewer.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, definitely.
Absolutely.
100%.
So that's my number 5, if you want to add on to anything.
Sure. So many good things. Like, but this is where we get the "burn them all" quote for the first time.
Burn them all.
He told me to bring him my father's head. Then he turned to his pyromancer. "Burn them all," he said. "Burn them in their homes, burn them in their beds." That's so fucked up. "Burn them all," he kept saying. "Burn them all." And then it's just like another like horrifically sad moment when he's telling Bran about this, and he says, "I killed the king." He kept saying, "Burn them all." I don't think he expected to die. He meant to burn with the rest of us and rise again, reborn as a dragon, to turn his enemies to ash. He says, "I slit his throat to make sure that didn't happen. That's where Ned Stark found me." And so she says, "If this is true, why didn't you tell anyone?" He's like, "Why didn't I tell him? Stark? You think the honorable Ned Stark would have wanted to hear my side? He judged me guilty from the moment he set his eyes on me." And this is the line that I really like. He really starts to this is the moment where it just becomes too much for him. Yeah. And he's by what right does the wolf judge the lion? By what right? And just like, God damn, it's like on another level that thought is. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's not only like the sigils, but he's talking on like a metaphysical, biological, spiritual level. Like, what right does this, one creature have to judge this other creature? They're both just trying to survive, It's really like a powerful line.
Yeah, you know what, and I like what you said about the fact that it all becomes too much for him, because I think that confession that was fueled by the infection, the delirium, and the need for companionship and friendship, when you tell a story that is as traumatic as that one, it can take all of your energy, and it can reignite
emotions that have been
buried forever. I mean, you think about
PTSD.
Right. I mean, you think about something that maybe you've kept to yourself, or maybe something that you've always, or that you've confessed to somebody. I mean, even something small in your own life, right? And at the end of it, it could be exhausting when you're finally done with it and you're like, oh my gosh, I just can't even believe that I had that conversation,
Yeah.
So I can see how he passed out.
Yeah, classic. That's what I read. Like the moment that he got to that Ned Stark part, it was just too much for him to handle anymore, and he just started like convulsing almost.
What do you think? Do you think that Jaime's right? Do you think that Ned wouldn't have given him the benefit of the doubt in that instance?
I think that he's right that either way, Ned would have seen him as an oath breaker.
Even given the
circumstances.
Situation, yeah.
I think that it's hard to say. Ned is a pretty black and white dude, except for the whole Jon thing. I've heard a lot of people talk about it, and a lot of people have sort of said that they think that he's pretty right.
Was Tower of Joy before or after this?
Tower of Joy was after this.
Okay.
So first there's the battle at the Trident. Robert is wounded. Ned immediately heads to King's Landing after Rhaegar is killed. And that's when they arrive to see the city like finishing being sacked, essentially. And
then Ned goes to Tower of Joy.
He goes, he goes to the throne room, finds Jaime, and then heads out to Tower of Joy. From there, I believe. Okay.
All right. Because if Tower of Joy had happened beforehand, it could have been that he was in a forgiving mood.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think he's ever really like... I think he's always been kind of at odds with the Lannisters.
Well, who wouldn't be? They're terrible people.
Yeah, basically. But then again, he said Arthur Dayne was the finest knight he ever saw, and Arthur Dayne knighted Sir Jaime Lannister, right? So, I mean, that could have meant something to Ned. And maybe if Ned knew the truth, he would have seen the honor in it. I mean, in Jaime's decision, I mean, Ned had to take the, outwardly dishonorably path himself as well when he claimed to have betrayed the trust of Catelyn, and outwardly it seemed that he was not a Kingslayer but a oathbreaker himself. So he's been placed in these types of positions himself. Granted, this moment was just weeks before he would have had to make this difficult decision himself. So it's kind of amazing, actually, that these two characters are both thrust into this position of having to sacrifice their honor for a greater purpose just within weeks of each other. And it drastically changes like both of their lives. And in the process, they're set at odds against each other.
Just you saying this is bringing like little teeny tears to my eyes. That's a pretty amazing revelation. It's a parallel.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. So I mean, like you said, maybe after he went through that, if he had just come back from the Tower of Joy, he may have been more susceptible to understanding that type of honor trauma of choosing which path in a more morally difficult situation, that's what Jaime does now, right? That's what he tried to make Brienne do by pushing her to decide between crossing the river or taking the bridge. He's created this situation where he's like trying to make people understand him by creating situations for them where they have to make difficult decisions. The same thing with Kat Stark when he convinced her to, he didn't really have to convince her, but letting him go, sacrificing her honor, in terms of her loyalty to her son, essentially, and the king in the north, when it came to what she saw as the greater purpose for her sister. So it's like there's like a ripple effect with Jaime Lannister. He had to kill the king, and then immediately people around him start being forced into these horrible positions as well, where they have to make these crazy decisions that have big ramifications. It's nuts.
Wow.
Right? I just totally blew my own mind right there.
I just blew my own mind.
Yeah, that's crazy. So that's pretty wild, right? Damn.
Yeah.
The Jaime ripple effect. That's nuts. It hit Ned. It hit Kat. Basically,
see, that's why this is my favorite scene, and because it just explains so much.
I know. It's not only is it very relevant for the plot and a huge revelation that means a lot for character development and etc., but it's also so well staged, and just the location is beautiful, and the performances are there had to have been awards won for this scene, right?
I don't think so.
What?
Oh wait, you mean for their you mean Nikolai Coster-Waldau?
Yeah.
Did I even say that right?
Yeah, I think so.
I refrain from saying that name at all costs because it's so many letters smashed together that I just look at it and I'm like, that's just too many letters in the wrong order.
I know, right? It's a difficult one.
This episode won the 2013 Primetime Emmy Award for Outstanding Makeup for a Single Camera Series, non-prosthetic.
Oh, for Jaime's stump, or
probably, and dirt.
Oh yeah,
I don't know.
The makeup was really good. Like, he looked dirty as fuck.
Yeah, he looked like I didn't want to touch him or anything. Like,
that's why.
If I were to touch him, I would get tetanus, hepatitis C.
Who knows what from that exposed wound? That's
probably
why
some
recoiled.
sort of tick bite.
Yeah. Oh god.
3 different levels of Lyme. It would be a problem.
Lyme is fucked. You know much about Lyme disease?
I do. I know 3 people with it.
Oh yeah, I've had it before. I'm actually from Old Lyme, Connecticut, which is where it was discovered. I
do know that about you.
Interestingly,
I forgot that about you, but I did know that about you.
Here's a little tidbit about it. After World War II, the U.S. and Russia were both trying to scoop up Nazi scientists for our own purposes, and it was called Project Paperclip in the U.S. And under this project,
such a stupid name.
Yeah, under this project, we got lots of Nazi scientists, including Werner von Braun, who was in charge of the German rocket program, and he basically spearheaded our rocket program and is responsible for the Apollo program and stuff. But we got this guy named Erich Traub, who was working for the Reich on a project which involved transmitting diseases via ticks. And he got stationed on this animal research facility on an island right off of Old Lyme, Connecticut, called Plum Island. All of a sudden, a few years later, after this guy is working there, Lyme disease, this new disease which has never been seen before, which is transmitted by ticks, pops up in Connecticut in Lyme, and hence where it got its name. And so basically, I think it's a Nazi biological warfare program that was either accidentally or intentionally released on our population after World War II.
I love your conspiracy theories. I feel like I should wear a tinfoil hat around you.
Probably should.
Anyways, do you want to keep that as number 5 and just you want to move on to your number 4?
Yeah, sure. So my number 4 is The Hound's Trial by Combat.
And see, I knew that was going to be one of yours, which is why I didn't add it to mine.
And I knew as well that you would know that it would be one of mine, so I purposely included it in mine. We are like super in sync about this. So this is a fucking awesome scene, and coming off of last week's epic episode, it was a good way to start this episode. High energy,
right off the bat, right?
Yeah, right off the bat, nice high energy battle, which was fucking awesome. Lord, cast your light upon us. Lord of light, defend us. Show us the truth. Strike this man down if he is guilty. So fucking cool. For the night is dark and full of terrors.
For the night is dark and full of terrors.
Yes. And so they cut a big slice in Beric's hand, and he rubs it on his sword blade, and the blade lights up and flames like we saw in Beyond the Wall for the second time. And the Hound is shocked because, I mean, just the whole...
No, this is the second time that we saw it, because remember, Stannis' sword lit on fire last season.
Right. It might have been a different type of magic, though. I don't remember. I don't remember.
Lord of Light.
Yeah, same. Yeah, definitely the same purveyor. So the Hound is like, oh my god, because like just the combination of the Hound being involved with R'hllor is like the least likely combination of anything you could possibly picture.
I know. You're like, really? Are you sure?
Yeah, like that the one thing that Hound hates more than anything else is fire. So like the last guy that you would ever picture him being willingly associated with is the fire god. But that just makes it so perfect for it to happen, Like, of course they're going to be, like, thrust together somehow. We should have known that immediately. Just, by the Hound's facial scar, by his whole thing. Like, obviously, he's going to have some important connection with the fire. Yeah, what was horrifying?
No, just, like, it's a horrifying, like, worst fear realized moment.
Absolutely.
For Sandor, right?
Absolutely.
What is your worst fear? Okay, so if we gave you your favorite thing and we covered it in it, how'd you feel about that?
It's like taking something awesome like I don't know, some type of fruit and covering it in chocolate and ruining both of those beautiful things.
Except strawberries, man.
Yeah, I mean that's a bad example, but there are some things that are like awesome by themselves, and then when you mix them together, they're like, oh god, this sucks. You know, why'd you like? It just ruins it.
Peanut butter and avocado,
or like Joffrey would say, like battle plans and stupid girls, as we saw Rob discussing battle plans with stupid girls in this episode, which is funny. Contrary to the Joffrey mantra. So the Hound freaks out, and he's just like the battle rages, and they are looking like they're intensely fighting. They're throwing their blows real hard. Like Beric is swinging hard. He comes out striking real fast immediately with like a beautiful lunge that like he launches himself towards the Hound, and he is swinging hard, and the Hound is parrying everything. And at one point, I feel like they were like, oh, with the flaming sword, we're going to have to choreograph this fight a little bit differently to highlight the movement of the blade. And I feel like this is something that they do with this style of sword fighting that they use for lightsaber battles in Star Wars movies.
Oh, yeah.
Right. So I was seeing a little bit of paralleling of Beric Wan Kenobi, basically, from like episode 3 on Mustafar, when Obi-Wan is fighting Anakin Skywalker and ends up disfiguring him and basically solidifying the agony of Darth Vader. This sort of made me think of that. The flames, the theatrical twirling of the blade. It was very like lightsaber battle-esque to me. And Beric just kind of looks like Obi-Wan too, but
with an eye patch.
Yeah. Obi-Wan eye. So it's fucking good battle. It was really well choreographed. The Hound is fighting back and just pummeling him, and watching the Hound fight is like watching George Foreman hit a heavy bag, just leaving big dents in it. Like once you see Foreman doing that, this is what Muhammad Ali said. Fighters don't want to watch George Foreman training, because once you see George Foreman hitting the heavy bag, nobody wants to fight him. So Ali would never watch him train when they were in Zaire for the Rumble in the Jungle in '74. Good documentary about that. When We Were Kings, if you're interested. Really good documentary. So he's pummeling him and breaking Beric's shield, and eventually his own shield catches fire, and the look of panic and desperation on the Hound's face is as his shield just goes ablaze cannot be understated, right? Like he's just like,
when he staggers back into fire.
Yeah, right.
Like his shield is on fire, there's a flaming sword going towards him, and he staggers back into fire,
and it goes like, and like bursts of fire
sparks on
engulf him, and he looks pissed when he steps out of that fire, and like he's just engulfed in that spark cloud, and then he just like huffs out and swings his blade down and like just starts pummeling on Beric and cuts right through his sword and right through his armor, and just like it was like that scene in Friday the 13th, I think the original Friday the 13th, when the guy and the girl go into the tent. Oh, maybe it's a different one, but they're about to do it, and the girl like pulls off her top, and all of a sudden like a street sign comes flying through the fucking tent, cuts her in half. Like you can see her like split in two, and it was the same thing with Beric Dondarrion here, splitting in two vertically as the Hound's blade just bisects his torso. Pretty radical. You see that and you're like, oh, he's dead. Like immediately.
Oh yeah, he's dead.
Oh, I
That's
was not
the end
really
of him.
expecting that. Wow. Yeah. Wow. Clegane pulling through in the last moment, foreshadowing the mountain doing the same thing, flipping it on the Viper, sort of. I mean, it wasn't that extreme, obviously, but so he just cuts him right in two, and Arya's like, no! He just freaks out, and immediately Thoros is just on him with the prayers, you know, and when his shield caught on fire, everybody was like, guilty, 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 chanting, and it was fucking...
Arya's like, kill him!
Yeah, kill him! And so the Beric goes down, and Thoros just like a baseball player running the bases, just slides in and starts whispering into his ear, like, Lord, cast your light upon this man, you're a servant, bring him back from death and darkness, you know, and his flame has been extinguished, restore it. And Arya pulls out a dagger, she like steals somebody's dagger and like
you
runs
see how
at the
deft
Hound.
she was with that?
Yeah, totally. That reminded me of this time when I was in Boston, and I was with a friend of mine, and we were on the 5th story fire escape, and and there's these punk kids down below with like mohawks and stuff, and my friend was like, "You think you're punk?" Like, because he was drunk and being stupid as hell, and they like yelled up at him, and he like right there ripped his shirt off and like ran inside and ran down the stairs and went out to fight these people, and of course I had to follow him. And because he's my friend, and I'm not going to let him go out there alone. try to diffuse it if possible. But you know, so I end up being the one who gets like attacked, of course, every time.
Great.
So somebody headbutts me, and like it didn't faze me, and they like pulled, like they ripped off my chain. I had to take my chain back from them, and like,
was it Liam Neeson?
Might as well have been. but
it was a huge dude with like big arms.
Yeah.
And I took him down.
He had a spiked mohawk. I shit you not.
He had
crazy.
rings in his lip.
Yeah, he was like all studded like armor all over. So all of a sudden we see a cop car like driving down the street, and they weren't like coming for us or anything, but my friend just books it. The guy who started the fight.
Get her!
Yeah, and so I'm running her like I'm standing there as he runs, and they're kind of facing off with us, and they start walking away, and they're walking away. The cop has passed. And I'm walking back at this point, and they had sort of retreated. So my other friend, who was also drunk at the moment, yells off to them, "It's obvious who runs this block!" And I'm like, oh my God, like what the fuck is wrong with you people? And sort of like Arya in this moment, the girl that was with them, who's like the littlest one of all, and she's like the girl, you know, like nothing wrong with being a girl or anything, but like you're potentially in like a fist fight on the corner. You're not expecting like the girl to be the one to step up out of the crew of people, you know what I mean? And she like lets out a battle cry when John said that, like, it's obvious who runs this block. Yeah, hot pie! You know? And she comes running, and she doesn't come running at John, who just yelled that. She came running at me. Everybody's attacking me when I'm not doing anything. And so,
poor Duncan.
Well, poor her, because I just stepped aside and like redirected her momentum past me, and she just like went sprawling out onto the ground. And I didn't like push her or anything. I just like stepped aside, ensured that she kept going, basically, you know, like sort of like a judo type thing.
Judy chop.
Yeah, judo chop. And and so at that point they all freaked out and tried to get us, but we managed to get inside the building right before, because at that point after my friend left it was like 7-on-2 or something. So we ended up getting in the building, and they were like pounding on the glass trying to get in. It was funny as hell. But yeah, Arya freaking out and trying to kill him in this moment was very much like that girl freaking out on me. So maybe that's why I like the Hound so much. So Beric intervenes, or someone intervenes, and all of a sudden we learn that Beric is is alive again, and it's fucking crazy. Looks like
everybody's stunned.
Yeah. Sandor's kind of laughing as Arya is like picked up by somebody, literally like just
Gendry.
scooped up. It was Gendry, and
Pretty sure.
Looks like their god likes me more than your butcher's boy, right?
Shut up, Sandor.
And that's
Sandor, read the room.
Yeah. And that's when Beric it's revealed that he's alive. She goes, "Burn in hell!" And he's like, "He will, but not today." And that's when we know Beric is alive, as he's been revived, and we're like, oh my God, right? And how fucking cool is that? So we get another scene where it starts with the Hound, and he's like, "I want my gold." And this point, I'm feeling really bad for Sandor, because you know where we got that gold
from? No.
It was at the Hands tournament, in like episode 3 when we first get to King's Landing.
Wow, he's had that a long time.
Yeah, because I mean, he's on duty. He doesn't have necessarily have time to go spend his gold. Right. So he quit. He grabbed his gold from his chamber probably, or wherever he had it stashed, and he's out. So this is the gold that he won by winning the Hounds tournament by saving Loris's life from his brother. And it was like a big, huge moment where Loris is being attacked and the Hound steals the show and saves his life, and the crowd is silent, and Loris raises the Hound's hand to the sky and proclaims him the champion, and the Hound
seems like a long time ago,
right? And the Hound gets his like a moment of public recognition and respect, which I think is foreshadowing some type of major victory in the future with the Hound. I think that was a micro vision of some massive accomplishment and achievement that the Hound is going to make in next year. So that'll be freaking awesome. But this is gold that he won fair and square, that he deserves for being a champion of life. And so it's just really sad that they're taking his money here. Like, this is what he had. This is like all he had. He finally like escaped this oppressive regime that is, his whole life has just been brutal. And now he can take his gold and go do whatever the fuck he wants because he's loaded. That was a lot of gold, man. A lot of gold. A huge amount of gold for winning that tournament. And so this is like no good for anybody, really, because think about what this results in. It means that the Hound ends up killing that poor old guy.
Right.
And he and his daughter end up starving to death, which we find out in season 7, and it haunts him, right? And they're together in this cabin where that happened in season 7. They stole his gold. He killed that guy, and then they're both together and working together to bury these two people. Remember?
I do remember. I'm sorry. I'm listening to you and remembering right now.
Thoros that walks out and finds the Hound burying them, and
I think it is Thoros. Yeah, because Sandor was trying to do the protect the mother protect you and the 7 7 words. And Thoros is like, don't look at me.
Right. It
was like an awkward, like different religious beliefs.
That's great. That's cool. It's
like that. You want some rum? That's what I got.
That's so funny. Yeah, I like that. That's a good description. So yeah, it's just like a really, really sad moment sad for the Hound, sad for that family who was just trying to survive. I mean, for all we know, they could have been so like friendly to the Hound and offering them food and everything at that moment that the Hound could have left them a golden dragon to help them survive for the winter.
Get them through the winter.
Honestly, it seems like, to me, he seems like that type of guy where like, like he doesn't have to help Arya. He didn't have to help Sansa.
He doesn't prey on the weak. He tries to help the weak.
He is the weak.
Yes.
Like
100%.
He's the strength. He's the strong he's like the strength of the weak, he's the underdog.
Agree.
100%. Yeah, like you said. So yeah, it's when he loses, the weak lose, as we see here, sadly. So that was pretty sad. I liked the last line there with Beric when he says, "Go in peace, Sandor Clegane. The Lord of Light isn't done with you yet."
Boy, is he not.
Cool line. Yeah, a really cool line.
Especially knowing what we know at this point.
Yeah.
I would agree with that. Mm-hmm.
So just a great scene. Love the Hound. Really feel his pain. I think a lot of people do. And he's just he's on his redemption arc as well. This is, we had Jaime's wound being cleansed with wine. By Qyburn, boiling wine, cleansing his wound, and in this episode we have the Lord of Light cleansing Sandor's soul with fire and cleaning his slate to start fresh,
Yes.
So we have two types of like healing processes beginning in this episode, which is cool.
That's nice. I like that. Great number 4, dude.
Thanks. So what about you? What's your number 4?
So my number 4 is kind of weird. It's something that I started putting together a few hours ago. And because it was basically, I was watching Sansa and, they remark on her hair and how she's doing it like Marjorie now.
Oh.
And it struck me as that Sansa still doesn't have an identity. And so I started looking at each of the Starks, with Jon included in this episode. And there was a lot of identity crisis type of stuff that was happening with the Stark kids. You've got Robb, who's losing the war, who has lost half of his army at this point, but because he had to kill Karstark, and he doesn't know what to do. He can't go home because he knows that they will not leave. All of his bannermen are not going to leave again if he goes back, but he doesn't know who to turn to, and he's kind of about to throw a Hail Mary by going to the twins at this point.
Yeah.
So he's facing a little bit of an identity crisis in the fact that he doesn't want to be king. He never wanted to be king, but he wants his revenge. He's losing at this point. He's made some really bad decisions with, not sending his mother back to Winterfell, after letting Jaime go, sending Theon off, trusting that he was going to do what Robb and Theon had discussed he was going to do, and that blew up in his face.
And he's sort of been put in this position of having him choose between vows and honor as well.
Right, and then he married Talisa, which is probably the biggest nail.
And that was right after having Jaime as a prisoner, right? So
yeah, oh yeah.
So that's the ripple effect as well.
Having Jaime as the prisoner happened right after, Theon left. So, I mean, he's made one terrible decision after another because he's still very young. He's still a boy. Yeah. And he doesn't have his dad anymore, and he has a mom who is overwhelmed with grief. And, had the Blackfish been with him a little longer, maybe things would have been a little different. But
that would be really cool.
Right?
Yeah.
But he's kind of, when he's in the room and Edmure Tully is making more sense than Robb Stark in that scene.
I know.
There's a problem.
I was like, oh man. Wow. He sounds like legit. Speaking of Edmure Tully, I think we should mention that new show that's coming out on AMC featuring the actor.
Terror?
Yeah, The Terror. It's got
I will not be seeing that.
It's got both the actors who played Mance Rayder and Edmure Tully in it. So it looks really cool, and Edmure looks like he has some really awesome performances in it based on the trailers. So that guy is a great actor when he's given like good material
something
to work
other
with.
Than missing a funeral pyre.
Yeah, like when he's given something cool, like even as we see during the Trebuchet speech, when Jaime is taking River Run and he has Edmure captive. And remember when he threatens to launch his unborn child over the walls of River Run with a trebuchet?
Yes.
The Edmure's acting in that scene is fantastic as well.
Yes.
How do you sleep at night? I remember it's just such a great performance. So, and he was really good in Rome as well. He played Brutus. Yeah, the infamous cool. Brutus. Et tu, Brute,
Et tu, Brutus.
Yeah.
Ides of March are
fast approaching. Yeah, we're in the Ides of March right now, basically. Speaking of it.
So that's Robb and his own little identity crisis. And then you have Sansa, who hasn't really found who she is yet anyways. Her dream has always been to be a lady. She wants to be a lady of a lord. And she has these visions of being, the wife of a knight and, having little lord babies and just living this, little embroidered life.
It's the only thing I've ever wanted.
Right. and she's getting a piece of that now, right? So she doesn't hate it as much in King's Landing. And, this woman, Marjorie's about to save me. So I'm going to start being like her. And her dresses have lightened a little bit, and her hair is braided like Marjorie's, and she's just acting stupid, and Littlefinger's like, do you want to come with me? You want to go home? And she's like, yeah, but you know what? I think I'm going to stay here a little longer. I mean, that's like, I think I could change my man. I'm not going to break up with him because I think that we had a really good talk last night. So I'm pretty sure that we're on the same track again. It's like, no, leave, get out of there. Yeah. What are you doing?
That's what I should have done a lot sooner. Think about this. I was thinking about this scene and just imagine how different things would have been overall in the entire story if she had left with Littlefinger on this boat.
I know.
Can you even imagine?
No, I can't because, well, you know what? At the same time, she should not ever be with Littlefinger, ever.
Yeah.
That just is trouble anyways. And then you have Arya. And Arya's getting dark. She's finding her identity in this need for her list. Her list is starting to shape who Arya is. Yeah, and
when nobody else will deliver justice, she will.
And she's learning that she can't trust anybody but herself. Gendry doesn't even want to go off with her.
Right. So, that was such a sad moment too.
Yeah, it was.
I could be your family. I was like, oh.
Like you'll always be my lady.
Yeah, and his response just as heartbreaking.
Yeah.
Like
Well, he points out to her, you're a lady and I'm not. I'm scum. I'm a commoner.
Think about this though. He's actually the royal bastard.
Well, so he is.
This scene, I could be your family. That could foreshadow. Maybe that'll be true someday. Maybe they'll, get hooked up like we've been speculating.
If Arya
Baratheon
were to
Stark.
take a husband, it would be Gendry.
Yeah, if she were. I think that. If anybody was going to change her mind on that, it would be Gendry,
Yeah.
I think they just sort of have like
if
this
anybody was
going
to change Brienne's mind, it might be Jaime. Maybe not. Maybe no. Definitely. I would love to see her with Tormund. Not going to happen. She just hates him.
You don't think so?
I think she's disgusted by him. Listen, I love the two together. I think they're wonderful, but...
Imagine the babies. They'd be monstrous.
Ginger giant.
Oh my God.
And then, so I've done Arya, Robb, Sansa. So now, then you have Robb. And Robb's whole identity, Jon. Jon's entire identity is the Watch and has been since he's been little. And this is the episode where he has to prove that he's no longer a Watchman. And so...
Oh yeah, Jon.
He goes in and he gets it done, right? But
yeah, he does.
I mean,
get her done, boy.
Get her done, buddy. But I mean, if you're a book reader, you know what his mindset is with this whole scene because this chapter is told from his point of view. So you get a sense of that agony and that turmoil as he's breaking his vows,
right?
Which I think is very, very necessary because it's not easy for somebody who's been raised by Ned Stark, who has a lot of honor, who has the willpower and the strength that Jon Snow does, to break his vows and to, he just finished giving up which 3 castles are manned at the Wall. I mean,
I know, and he's struggling with how much information can I give up.
Everybody and everything he knows right now. So it's funny that this whole episode kind of shines a tiny little light on all 4 of these Stark kids that are having 4 very separate, very real identity crises right now, and their characters are being shaped and molded in very significant ways, and it's highlighted in this episode, which I think is really nice.
Yeah, you were a maid. I was a man of the Night's Watch.
Yeah.
That's an identity crisis, a maid or a man of the Night's Watch.
I know, right?
Yeah, that's great.
So
that's a good point.
Yeah, it's little, but that's my number 4.
That was cool.
Thank you. How about your number 3?
All right. My number 3 is the beheading of Rickard Stark, or Karstark, and the Karstark betrayal. So it starts out with a horrifying scene with Willem and what's his little face, Lannister, and future Tommen.
Future Tommen.
That's what I call him. And is this a rescue? They think they're being rescued, these poor little bastards. And instead they get just like stabbed in the gut. Yeah, Martin. There you go. Willem and Martin Lannister. AKA Future Tommen. So he gets stabbed brutally. I'm just a squire, please. I didn't do anything. And this reminded me of the thing we saw last week with the Hound pleading his case in front of the Brotherhood Without Banners. I wasn't at the Maiden's Ford when those children and mothers were slaughtered. I didn't kill those people. So this is those boys saying the same thing. Like we're not responsible for that. We're just squires. Don't kill us. The argument of individual versus the collective. Like, yeah, the Lannister army's bad, but these individuals. Like, they need to be. People needed to be treated on an individual basis if it's not an open combat situation, essentially, right? So I thought that was a really cool mirroring of the individualism versus collectivism concept we saw last week. And I also thought it was a tragic mirror because in this case, the innocent individuals don't escape quite as unscathed as Sandor did. So I guess you could say that the Lord of Light cares more about Sandor than these Lannister butcher boys as well.
Oh, that's so sad and weird.
Yeah.
You know what's strange is that Tommen is that the same actor dies on the same show as two different people.
Yeah. That's great. Right? I didn't even think about that. We like you, but we like killing you too, so
yeah, right.
Just get used to that.
We might bring you back in season 8 to play an unnamed Lannister soldier, so we could kill you a third time, dude.
Yeah, exactly.
You're really good at dying.
Next time he's like Gary and Lannister. Oh my god!
Be in the Guinness Book of World Records somewhere. I died on Game of Thrones
the most
3 times.
That'd be great. A named character with multiple deaths. Yeah, that's fucking great. That's so funny. What are the odds of that? They kills them, escapes, and then it cuts to the scene where Robb has him basically captive, and they're not getting along about it at all. Basically,
no.
He calls Robb the king who lost the North. And that pisses off Robb, and he has his moment there where the guy's like, "Mercy, sire! I didn't kill anyone. I only watched for the gods."
Oh, that was such a savage moment.
This one was only the watcher. Hang him last so he can watch the others die.
Oh my gosh, that was so
I was like,
savage.
Oh yeah, fuck yeah. So that was killer. And Talisa makes a really good point. Word of this can't leave River, or someone makes this point. Word of this can't leave Riverrun. They were Tywin Lannister's nephews. The Lannisters pay their debts. They never stop talking about it.
Edmure said that.
Oh, it was Edmure. Okay.
Yeah.
And so Robb's like, would you make me a liar as well as a murderer? And Talisa even steps up and points out that we kind of should not let this get out.
Yeah, man, when your wife and your mom are in agreement, listen. Listen.
So he has a great line here, Robb, where he says, will we bury them and remain silent until the war is done? And he's like, I'm not fighting for justice if I don't serve justice to murderers in my own ranks, no matter how highborn. And that's such a good argument. Right? These principles are universal. You can't pick and choose where you enforce,
yeah, but
morals.
He has picked and choose.
I know. That's the struggle, In
big, glaringly obvious ways.
Yeah. Yeah. It's his downfall.
Literally.
Yeah. Same with it was Jaime's downfall, sort of. At least in terms of reputation as well. It was, yeah. As we've seen, it's these decisions are difficult. Basically, the Jaime ripple effect. So they decide that Robb figures out that he needs to make a move and he needs to work with Walder Frey. It's the only way to do it, right? Mm-hmm. So next we see the scene where Rickard is about to be beheaded, and this is an ominous scene. And as it cuts to the scene, we get real ominous music too, foreshadowing an awful future as we come to bear, as we come to witness as it comes to bear. So there's his haunting last words as he says, he reminds him the blood of the first men flows through both their veins as they're branches of the same family. They're kin essentially.
Right.
He says, I fought the Mad King for your father. Right. I fought Joffrey for you. We're kin, Stark and Karstark. That didn't stop you from betraying me, and it won't save you now. He says, I don't want it to save me. I want it to haunt you to the end of your days, few as they may be, as we know now. Kneel, my lord. So he kneels. Rickard Karstark, Lord of Karhold, here in the sight of gods and men, I sentence you to die. Would you speak a final word? Kill me and be cursed. You are no king of mine. Very mindful of Tywin's last words. You're no son of mine. As well. Just popped in my head right now. But yeah, hardcore. He certainly was cursed.
Lord Umber had some pretty ominous last words as well.
Oh, what were they? I don't remember.
It was like, you're truly lost, Theon Greyjoy, or something like that. Right before he was beheaded.
Fuck, I don't even remember that. Oh, you mean Sir Roderick Cassell?
Yeah, that's who I meant.
Okay,
I'm sorry.
That's all right.
I'm so sorry.
I can't remember what happened to the great John Umber. We'll have to pay attention as we go. Maybe he was at the Red Wedding. I like that character too. Remember Grey Wind biting off his fingers. Ah, your meat's bloody tough. That was great.
No, he's still alive.
At the on the show in season 7.
He's the one that says the King in the North, right? To Jon Snow.
I don't know. I think it was somebody else. Well, we'll look into it later.
Yeah.
I definitely hope he's still alive.
That's something for future Duncan and future Kristen to figure out.
Maybe we can even get future Tom in on this somehow. So yeah, crazy scene. I just have written after that, kill me and be cursed, you're no king of mine. I just wrote, damn. Daym.
Oh, damn.
Damn. So that was cool. How about you? What's your number trace?
My number 3? Yeah. So, what is it? Okay.
Numero tres.
I found a theme.
Awesome. I love themes.
So it's a little theme, but there were like 5 examples of it. So I thought, cool. All right, that's good enough. It was confessions.
Oh, nice.
There was a lot of that going on in this episode. The first one being the obvious one of Jaime to Brienne in the bath scene,
wow.
Right?
Yeah.
Which we've talked about at length.
I know, it's such a just terrible scene.
Lord Karstark confesses what he did to Robb.
To the Lannister kids?
Oh, right, yeah.
Okay, cool.
He confessed the killing to them. He confessed that, he's lost the war. He's no king of mine, blah, blah, blah. But, denouncing Robb. And then you have Stannis to Selyse. He confesses his infidelity.
Good one.
To Selyse and she's just like, yeah, I know.
I wept tears of joy. I'm so brainwashed.
Well, not to mention she keeps her dead babies.
Would that make her
a jar?
Yeah.
It's like Governor Zombie heads. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah,
it's just
absolutely.
Really strange. Like, I remember the first time I saw that, I was like, what the fuck is this?
So also this seems to make her a female cuck, right? So what would the terminology for that be?
Cuckus?
A cuckus? A cuckette? A cack? I don't know.
It's funny. Cack. There you go.
A cackled? I don't know.
She's a cack.
That's fucking great.
And then you have Davos to Shireen. He confessed to Shireen that he did betray her father,
right?
And that he does deserve.
I'm a traitor.
To be
yep,
there.
I'm serving my punishment. I love him.
I belong here.
Everybody in that whole scene is so like that whole scenario is so funny.
Dragonstone, man. This is what Davos is thinking of when he looks at Jon Snow and he goes, "This place has changed." He's It's,
oh my
it's
God.
the happenings that are happening right now.
Yeah, Jon Snow shows up. Oh no, Selyse probably took those jars with the little fetuses with her, huh?
Oh my gosh.
He shows up and finds that room, and he's like, I don't want to go in that room.
He's like, I need somebody to take care of that, please. Thanks. And then you have, Jon Snow to Oral, whatever. Orel and Torment. He tells them all of, the secrets of the wall and which ones are manned and which ones aren't.
Yeah, and he confessed his maidenhood to
yes, he did. And then little confessions, there was Oliver who went to Littlefinger to tell him.
I forgot he was a puppet from the start.
Yeah, he was. He's one of the whores.
Yeah. I forgot.
What do you call a male whore?
A gigolo.
Oh, right. He's a gigolo.
I'm just a gigolo.
Yes, there you go.
And everywhere I go, you know the song?
I do. I know I've heard it.
David Lee Roth.
I'm on very, very little sleep right now. So I'm very surprised that I'm just kind of as up as I am.
I told you I stayed up for over 40 hours the other day, right?
I know. You cray.
I cray. That was cool.
Yeah, and so that's it for kind of the bigger confessions that you see throughout the episode. I mean,
I'm impressed.
You could make little stretches by saying, that maybe Jorah and Barristan were going through some sort of a war stories kind of thing where Jorah's waiting to see if Barristan is going
they're both
to
testing
reveal
each other.
what he knows. Yeah, right, exactly.
Great. First Barristan's testing Jorah, then Jorah's testing Barristan. It was fucking great.
That was one of my favorite scenes of the episode as well.
Yeah, we'll talk about it.
Yeah, I have no doubt. So that's my number. What number are we on? 3.
3. Yeah.
Is
that was a good one.
The theme of confessions. Yeah.
I'm impressed. I did not realize so many confessions were occurring. That was cool.
Thanks.
Yeah.
How about you? Number 2.
My numero 2 is the Beric Dondarrion revelation.
Very nice.
Which is fucking
You just
epic.
can't get out of that. You can't get out of that cave, man.
Well, I do enjoy a good Lord's kiss. I'm talking about the kiss of fire, okay, from the Lord of Light. So the scene starts with Arya reciting her list. Joffrey, Cersei, Ilan Payne, Sir Meryn. And then she sort of hesitates and adds the Hound. And I find the hesitation interesting. But maybe it foreshadows her taking him off the list eventually. But I don't know why she would be hesitating in that moment. Maybe it's just running through her head real fast, and then she's like, "Oh, the Hound," maybe she's just overwhelmed in thought for a split second. But she's like, "What?" Talking to Beric and Thoros, she's like, "What the fuck are you guys gonna do with me?" And they're like, "At first light, we'll ride for River Run. Your brother's there. He'll make a contribution to our cause, and you can go home." And I liked how Thoros tells her that Beric really did admire her father a great deal. As we know, it was Ned who sent him on his merry mission to murder the Mountain. That's a quadruple M, Merry Mountain Murder Mission, which is fucking cool. I like alliterations.
Yeah.
So he's like, he wanted to refuse your ransom altogether, and she's like, "So why didn't you?" And he's like, "We need the gold," which sucks.
Very
because
honest.
they're it's horrible that they took the Mountain's gold. The Hound's gold, but at the same time, they're a good cause that needs to be funded too, right? So it just sucks all around for everybody. Everybody needs gold. Everybody gets abused, etc. Right? So
Yes.
Westeros, wait till we get a VR Westeros game and people are killing themselves. This is just so depressing.
That would be interesting.
It'd be virtual reality.
Oh yeah, I knew what you meant.
Dude, it's so funny. I mean, a sadistic, twisted sort of comedic way.
That sounds like that sounds like a Saw movie.
Yeah, it's like a Black Mirror episode or something. Oh man. So Beric asks her if he frightens her, and she's like, "Nah." She's so blasé, nothing phases Arya. nothing phases Arya.
She watched her dad's head get chopped off. How much more
as close as you can get to
life.
watching it? Yeah, I mean, Yoren kind of like made her not look, but she probably caught a glimpse or something. But he seemed pretty sure. I made sure he didn't look, but she probably saw something,
Mm-hmm.
So he's like, you're angry with me, and I don't blame you, and he tells her letting him go was the right thing, I have more reason than most to want him hanged. And she says, I thought he killed you. And he's like, he did. She's like, but how? And Thoros, how many times have you brought me back? And just that line itself is like, what? Like, if you'd never seen it before and you didn't know this was coming, just how casual he is about that. It's like, how many times have you brought me back? It's like, I don't know. It just is a really powerful line for some reason for me. And Thoros, it's the load of light that brings you back.
Because at that point, you don't know.
Right, and it's like, whoa, like a huge revelation. So Thoros is like, it's the load of light who brings you back. I'm just the lucky drunk who says the words, which I thought was a great line. Was it Benjamin Franklin said that God loves men, that's why he created alcohol or something like that?
Yeah, that sounds like something he would say.
So, the Lord of Light favoring the drunks. I don't know. I just thought that was funny. Lucky drunk. So, how many times? 5, I think. No, this makes 6. And this is sort of like another confession, you could say, is confessing his immortality to some extent.
Very good. Yep, that's true. That is another confession.
Yeah, it's kind of in a not confessing of like a sin or something, but just like an untold truth, an occulted piece of information, something that's sort of being kept closely guarded.
Mm-hmm.
So that's pretty cool. So he shows her all the different times. He had the first time was the mountain who put a lance through his chest. Fucking hardcore, man. Can you imagine that? Wow.
No.
Then he gets stabbed in the belly. Then it was an arrow in the back and an axe in the side. And then the Lannisters caught him and executed him for treason. Was it a hanging or a dagger in the eye? Both. Fuckers couldn't decide. Great line. Just do it both. And that sort of reminded me, the Lannisters couldn't decide, so they hung him and put a dagger in his eye. And that reminded me of Jaime's tale of killing the Mad King, who he stabbed through the back and slit his throat. Right? So 2 different methods of execution combined by Lannisters in multiple occasions in this episode. So that's kind of fun.
Yeah.
The second time, it was the Hound makes 6. And he says, it was the second time I've been killed by Clegane. And Thoros has a line which cracks me up. I just think it's so funny. He says, you'd think you'd learn. I don't know why it's just so funny. Second time I've been killed by Clegane. You think you'd learn.
Thoros is a very cool character.
Yeah. And it's just really something like funny and lighthearted about death in that line. They like take a horrific and terrifying subject and make it funny for a moment. Maybe that's what's so funny about it. And I don't know, there's something funny about it. But then we get like a pretty startling revelation where he says, it's not getting any easier, and I know. Every time I come back, I'm a bit less. Pieces of you get chipped away. And it's just like a terrifying way to describe that. And it makes me think of, as I'm saying it now, it made me think of that scene in 2001 A Space Odyssey. Have you seen that movie?
No, but this is the second time this week somebody has asked me if I've seen this movie, so I'm thinking it's time for me to see the movie.
Yeah, and then you'll have to watch a movie about the movie, which I'll tell you about, which is freaking crazy. But so there's this scene, and this was a minor spoiler, so I apologize in advance, but it's wild because it fits this perfectly. Every time I come back, I'm a bit less. Pieces of you get chipped away. And so there's this onboard artificial intelligence called HAL 2000 or HAL 5000 or whatever, that's running this ship that these guys are on in 2001 A Space Odyssey, and they're on a mission crossing the galaxy to do something. I don't remember what it was. It doesn't matter. So so Hal starts like thinking that they're betraying the mission, and Hal starts to take matters into its own hands. So Dave goes out to fix some piece on the exterior of the ship, and he's coming back, and he's like, Hal, open the pod bay doors, Hal. Hal, are you there? I'm here, Dave. Hal, open the pod bay doors, please. I can't do that, Dave. And it's like sabotaging them because the AI perceives them as contradicting the mission and sabotaging the mission, and it's programmed to succeed with the mission. So Dave gets back in manually, and he goes into the computer room essentially and starts pulling hard drives from like this old school computer from like the 60s, which is hilarious, pulling these drives one by one, and Hal is losing himself bit by bit, and sort of the way, sort of like Beric, he's like, Dave, my mind is going, Dave, what are you doing? And it's like super creepy, and the way that Beric says, like, like pieces of me get chipped away. Every time I come back, I'm a bit less. It just makes me think of Hal as his mind starts going, and he starts speaking more simplistically, and eventually he's just reciting a nursery rhyme in like an off-tuned, like warping way as he's becoming more and more mentally like weak. Daisy, tell me the matter, do. It's like creepy shit ever, right? So that just that it made me think of that scene as this was happening. So I think that may be like a slight homage to that potentially, because it's such a famous scene and such a famous movie. Stanley Kubrick, arguably the greatest director of all time. So yeah, definitely watch that movie, and I got a really cool movie that analyzes it and breaks down little secrets that Kubrick inserts into the movie all over. Sort of the way that George R.R. Martin puts bits of, encoded mythology and stuff into his writing. Kubrick did the same type of shit with his movies, but he also incorporated information about modern events and stuff. So pretty crazy. So yeah, I just thought that was a really cool scene with Beric coming back, explaining all that, talking about his mind going, and it made me worry about John, that he's come back once already. He's already lost a little bit of himself, which is really sad, and hopefully if something happens and he gets brought back again, like, it's just, hopefully he was dead for a while. It could have like added effects, you know what I mean? So hopefully we don't see John like singing Westerosi nursery rhymes all detuned.
I just want to see him make it to the end, man. I just want to see him make it to the end. It's got like 6 episodes to make it to the end, man. Come on, dude, you can do this.
Yeah, you can do it. You can do it, man. Come on. I'm pumped to see what happens. It's gonna be fucking sweet. So yeah, that's my number 2. How about your number 2?
I love that.
Thanks.
Was great. Yeah. Well, my number 2 is Big Pimpin' Tywin Lannister. Big Pimpin' Tywin Lannister. Oh my gosh, what an asshole.
T to the Y to the W-I and
he is the worst. The worst. Somebody forgot to tell Tywin that he isn't king.
Oh, he's so hardcore.
He and that his kids are grown.
He basically is king. Like he feels that like he is king. You know what I mean?
Well, and I understand that. I just, it just baffles me that he thinks he can marry off his older children. I mean, Tyrion,
embarrassment to the family.
Oh my gosh, it's just everything that he does. He calls his children a disgrace to the Lannister name. Okay, dude, you raised them. You raised them. And he's done nothing but bring harm to these 2 kids in front of him, to Cersei and to Tyrion. I don't know who he hates more, especially after last week and us talking about kind of Cersei and Tyrion. And
we had a listener commenting on that too, saying how they're being treated the same. This episode shows you that they are being treated exactly the same. So
right.
Nailed it.
Which
you guys both
nailed that. Which is why why Cersei hates Tyrion so much, because she views Tyrion as a lesser human, let alone anything close to
literally
her equal.
Genetically inferior, like a Hitlerian view of a lesser human.
Cersei, arguably, she's Queen Regent. She should not be handled like this, and yet she is being handled like this. And there's
right at the end, she's that heartbreaking line: "Father, don't make me do this again.
Don't
Shut
make
your
me do
goddamn
this again,
mouth, woman." Yeah,
right.
Yeah, it was brutal.
She already had to marry somebody who didn't love her, who neglected her, ignored her, treated her like crap.
And moments of sympathy for Cersei are few and far between, but I really felt for her in that moment.
Yes, 100%. Especially since everybody knows Loras. Everybody knows what she'd be
on
marrying.
The plus side, she wouldn't have to have sex with him.
No, she
So
would
it'd
not.
be kind
Although,
of like-
yes, she would, because he told her in that scene, he said, no, you're still of birthing age. You got to do this.
Well, she could just, Jaime's not back yet, but she could just, call her brother into her chamber. It would actually serve as perfect cover, potentially, for continuing her current, Jaime relationship. But I think she's like done with Jaime at this point, basically, right?
This time, I think she's just angry with him. Yeah, but yes.
Remember when he comes back, she's like, "You're too late. It's over."
Yeah. Well, that
and then
changes.
he has to like sort of rape her in front of Joffrey's corpse.
Okay,
the scenarios.
We will talk
this.
about that. We will talk about that when that gets there, because I take issue with that scene, but we'll talk about that later.
Okay.
I have very strong feelings about that scene.
I'm very intrigued to hear your feelings.
So, and Tyrion's got his own thing happening, because, his father basically not only broke up his marriage, and his first wife died from being gang raped, correct?
Not exactly. We mentioned the scenario, but I had forgotten that. We didn't say what had happened. Remember, like a week or two ago, we talked about someone being raped repeatedly, and every time the soldier giving her a silver stag, and then the person at the end being forced to do it and giving her a golden dragon, and there were so many of the coins slipping through her fingers that it was just like a brutal gang rape. That was Tyrion's ex-wife, Tysha, who had supposedly was alleged. The story goes that she was a whore that was basically paid to carouse with Tyrion by Jaime, and they ended up falling in love and being married, and Tywin had her raped and revealed that she was a whore the whole time, and destroyed Tyrion mentally, and that plays a much more major role in the book. But I think he told that story when they were playing the drinking game with Bronn and Shay. Potentially on the show. So yeah, that's the story of Tyrion's former marriage, which ended brutally, horribly, and whether or not she was a whore, and whether or not the love was true, is important for the plot, and you'll have to read the books to get more information about that. Because
it's very and it's fleshed out in the books, and it's a really great story, at least with understanding Tyrion as a character and his relationship with his father and as a Lannister
and
as
his
a whole.
brother.
I agree.
Yeah, and I think it really takes a story that's great on the show and really enhances it, adding a whole other elements of depth to it.
I completely agree.
Yeah, which is
completely
cool.
Agree. And when you do read the books and you hear Tyrion say, "I was married," why he's so angry.
Yeah.
And
whereas
you're
on the show,
immediately
you're
going,
really?
yeah, Tywin, he was married, you stupid. So in this scene, I realize how small and petty of a man Tywin Lannister is.
Yeah.
Because he does not want to give Tyrion Casterly Rock and his heirs and his titles and his legacy so bad that he's willing to basically hand over the North to Tyrion.
How
Marry
crazy is
Sansa
that?
Stark, take the North. But no, you can't have Casterly Rock.
In its own way, it's almost like you're getting something way better.
Well, of course
from one
you are,
perspective,
but,
Tyrion could be like, "Oh, okay, I'll go along with it." But then again, from the other perspective, he could see it exactly the way you're describing it, which is he'll go to any length just to keep me from Casterly Rock, and that can make him even more mad.
Yes, absolutely. And Tyrion says, "What are we doing to this girl?" I mean, how can you hate the Stark so much?
I love how he sticks up for her.
After what Joffrey has done to her, now she has to marry me.
Yeah,
that's just abhorrent.
He's one person that has consistently had her back from day one.
If there's one person that at least, if there's one silver lining in all of it, it's that Tyrion was never ever going to harm her.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I think that they will reconcile, to say the least, in the future.
Can't wait for their reunion. I really can't wait.
I think Tyrion will feel a lot better about it once they get to sort of talk a little bit or something. I feel like it's an awkward thing for him right now. Remember when he meets with Jon and he's like, "We never consummated the marriage,"
Yeah, he's like, "It was a sham. Promise."
I assure you. It's like an awkward patch for him. It's so funny.
I swear we're not brothers.
It's like, "I wouldn't be your brother anyway. I'm a freaking Targaryen." Although he doesn't know
he's
that.
like, "And so am I."
Wait, so they are brothers. That's fucking great. Your brothers?
So
no.
Cersei, we also learn in the scene that Cersei is getting her information from Littlefinger because Oliver told Littlefinger about Loras's engagement to Sansa, and at this meeting with the three Lannisters, Tywin says, "Cersei has just informed me that the Tyrells are planning to marry Loras to Sansa," which means that Littlefinger is, still
playing
out
both
there
sides,
doing whatever it is that Littlefinger does.
Yeah, grubbing around.
So that's interesting because up until this point, I think that we all pretty much think that it's mainly Pycelle.
Right, and it goes to show you another facet of Littlefinger's machinations too, as we continue and learn that he's meeting with Olenna and plotting with them to arrange the Red Wedding. That he's just playing all sides here. He doesn't give a fuck about. He's
chaos is a ladder.
Yeah, he's his own. His allegiances to himself.
For that little bird.
I pledge fealty to Peter Baelish myself.
So here's my question, right? This is what I have in my notes. Who is really the disgrace? Is it Cersei and Jaime and Tyrion, or is it Tywin, who has created these monsters, who is a monster unto himself, who?
Yeah, if that's the question, I would have to say that Tywin is absolutely the disgrace.
Right, Tywin wins.
He is the manifestation of the Machiavellian principle that the means justify, that the means justify, the ends justify the means. Killing kids to save another group of people or whatever, murdering entire families. He is the manifestation of that whole moral relativistic shady world outlook, basically.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think that the result of who his children have become is directly related to the monster that he is.
Right. And their paths, they are the means toward his end goal of creating this Lannister empire. So he's using them as tentacles, essentially, to create alliances and further their position. And he sacrifices his own children for his end game, which is the ultimate manifestation of the ends justifying the means, where he's willing to sacrifice his children as the means.
And his grandchildren.
Yeah, how crazy is that?
But he never becomes king.
Right.
He never crowns himself king.
In a way, it's for the family. It's not necessarily selfish, but he's sacrificing the individual for the collective, which falls into the whole individualism versus collectivism thing that I already discussed with the moral relativism, where the Lannister kids didn't commit the murders themselves, neither did the Hound. Tywin values the collective over the individual, and he's willing to sacrifice the individual autonomy and the individual justice for the benefit of the collective, in this case, the sacrificing the lives and happiness and pursuit of happiness and freedoms of his children for for his endgame, for the collective of the Lannister house. So it's the perfect dichotomy and duality and of illustration of those two principles. Last episode and this episode, where we see the Lord of Light valuing the individual, and we see Tywin Lannister, who's the disgrace, valuing the collective. And I maintain that individualism is the mantra. Collectivism. I'm against collectivism. So yeah, I would say that Tywin is the villain or the disgrace.
Yeah, I would too.
I can wax philosophic about that type of stuff.
Well, Tywin is just such an interesting character, right? I mean, he enjoyed Arya when he was with her because I think that he enjoyed having somebody who was able to give it back to him.
Right.
He's beaten his kids down to a point that they don't even fight him anymore.
You can tell just by how snarky she is that she's not some common-born girl. You know what I mean? She's a lady. She's not putting up with any shit at all. She's a lady.
Well, right. But he doesn't have a sparring partner like that anymore.
Yeah,
everybody's afraid of him. Everybody just does what he says to do.
Yep.
Yeah,
I agree. Loves it.
So yeah, it's interesting when you bring somebody like Arya into the fold for Tywin, because
where she's not a real threat, but she's fun competition for a while,
until he realizes that she's a threat when he said anybody can be killed.
Oh, right. Yeah. Well, yeah, she oversteps her bounds. Yeah, for sure.
But he sees it, right? Everything darkens, and he knows that she's not messing around. I mean, if Tyrion or Cersei said, well, anybody can be killed, he'd be like, nah, go away.
Right.
Shut up.
Instead, he's like, careful.
Right.
Wow, he's such an amazing actor. The look on his face in this scene when he's like, when Cersei is telling him, I won't do it, no. And he's just like, you will do what you're told, and he's just like glaring at her, and he just looks like he is chiseled from granite. Like, he just looks like a lion. No question about it. He is a lion,
Oh, that's what I was going to say.
Yes.
At the end of the scene, did you see that the Lannister lion is up and the stag is gone?
No, I did not. Where was that?
It's in the very last scene, like right before they cut away.
Where was it being replaced?
It was in the wrought iron. It was right there in the forefront of the scene.
Which room though? The hands chamber, like the small council room.
His new small council room. Right?
Okay, I didn't notice. I had heard something about them replacing the chairs. And
oh yeah, that was me. I said the
a while
same
back.
Thing. Yeah, that was a while ago.
I thought that was interesting.
So this one is right at the very end. I have it up right now. It's like at the very end.
Nice.
And whoops, I went too far. There. Yep. And so, hang on, I'm going to take a picture of it right now.
Nice.
So that I could post it later.
Cool.
Yep.
So yeah, that's interesting. They replaced the stag with the lion,
it's at 5807.
Nice.
Yep. So that's and it's right there. It's the table where it's Cersei and Tyrion. Tywin's already left. They're both sitting there wondering what the hell just happened. The looks on their faces
are so great.
And the Cersei, big Lannister lion is right there.
Oh, I'll 5807. I'll go check it out later. That moment, that one moment where he walks out and they're just sitting there together, and they both like, it's so funny, man. I have written down both Tyrion and Cersei are like, yeah, and Cersei's face, like, Lena Headey, her expression in this moment is just brilliant. Like,
she's so fantastic.
Beautiful. Yeah,
I hate her so much, but I love her.
Yeah, just wonderful facial expression here. Like, she's just glorious. It's so funny how those two are like good friends in real life too. So they probably had fun sitting there and like they're probably laughing about what faces should we make, brother and sister. Yeah. Like we each have our funny way of reacting. Yeah, that's so great.
So, anyways, that covers my number 2.
Nice, that was a good one.
For you, the listeners of Game of Microphones, Audible is offering a free audiobook download with a free 30-day trial to give you the opportunity to check out their service. So, we've been talking about Audible for a really long time at this point. We've told you that if you wanted to get a free audiobook, you can sign up for a free trial by going to audibletrial.com/GOM. And you can find all sorts of books. There are thousands and thousands of books that you could choose from. You could get a free book when you sign up for a free 30-day trial. I just finished Ready Player One by Ernest Cline. I am now reading The Boy on the Bridge by M.R. Carey, who also wrote The Girl with All the Gifts. If you like that sort of zombie apocalypse type of genre, I would highly recommend picking up one of those for your Audible trial. You can also try out Game of Thrones. Read the books. Hail Hydra.
Hail Hydra.
Right now we're in season 3, so that means we are with A Storm of Swords, which is one of my all-time top 3 books ever.
Wow.
So if you would like to check out A Storm of Swords, I highly recommend listening to it. Go to www.audibletrial.com/GOM. Again, that is audibletrial.com/GOM for your free audio book. Thanks, Audible.
Thanks, guys.
What's your number 1?
My numero uno, let's see, is...
Numero uno.
My number 1 is The Princess Baratheon and the Onion Knight.
All right.
I like that combo. Those guys have a cool little relationship, you know?
I love Davos and Shireen.
Yeah, this is the introduction of that little bond. And it starts out, like you mentioned, with Selyse as Stannis goes to visit her. And she's praying in the darkness, and Stannis enters. And she says, I prayed day and night for you to come to me. And Stannis goes through this confession, and like right off the bat, like when she's praying, I just have written down Selyse is brainwashed as shit.
Yeah.
She's like MK Ultra to the 5th like dimension. And she's just out there and like to the point where she's like cacked. You know, she's all cucked, like, yes, thank you. Like I was moved to tears that you betrayed my trust and, you know, slept with another woman. I mean, she did give him a temporary male child, so maybe she was excited about that. But it's still, and then like it transitions to the bizarre. And just like Cersei had that great expression that we were just talking about, Stannis has sort of a similar one in this moment where his facial expression is just perfect. I've broken a sacred vow. I've sinned. And he just has this like grinding look on his face, like, and that's one thing about it. In the books. They always say he's grinding his teeth, and he's sort of like looks like he's sort of like grinding in this moment, and it's just a wonderful expression. Again, like still frame on this moment if you just watch it because it's so funny, and she knows about everything already, and it transitions to the bizarre, and you see how like truly gone mentally she is, as she's like just just permanently in regression mode, or like she's emotionally stuck. You know, like how like people can be like emotionally like still like at like a child's level. She's just emotionally trapped like in these miscarriages essentially.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
It's horrifying. And yeah, like you said, the governor with the heads from The Walking Dead, the zombie heads in the tanks, there's just like these little babies are sitting there in the tanks like preserved, and even Stannis is like like this is fucking crazy, you know? And
right.
And she
the first time you see that, you're like,
yeah, you can even tell like he's like, whoa. And so she is just like even worse than being like gone mentally is her attitude towards her daughter, which I just find despicable, and it just makes it even all the more impactful when at the last moment it's Selyse who tries to save Shireen and Stannis who stays stoic and allows her to burn. That makes that moment even more horrifying. You know what I mean?
Wait a minute. Selyse kills herself
afterwards,
after Shireen
but
dies.
when you know Selyse or Shireen is burning and she's like, "Save me, father!" and Celise starts to run forward, and it's like something in her snaps, and she realizes that it's her daughter burning for like the first time she's ever given a fig about it. And
okay, I see what you're saying.
The fact that seeing Shireen burn even causes Celise to turn and like feel something for her. It's like if Kat was suddenly like, "Oh my God, Jon Snow, I love you." You know what I mean? Like you'd be like, "Whoa." Like something like that must have been something impactful that created that change. So,
right.
You know, it's like crazy. Like just her utter emotionless, monstrous regard towards her daughter is just disturbing. She says, "Oh, my sweet boys, Peter, Tomard, Eric," and we're talking about these fetuses in the tanks, in the green liquid, like kind of like a crazy horror movie. And I thank God every day for bringing Melisandre to us. She gave you a son. I gave you nothing. And I'm just like, oh, it's fucking bad, man. Like you gave him like a beautiful, loving, caring daughter that's just like the most like indigo child of this whole story, right? You know what I mean?
Kind and good and like very Marcella.
Yeah. She like teaching people to read, and just like you can't make a more innocent, good-hearted character than Shireen. Like,
agreed.
Even telling like her father is saying basically, "I might have to kill you," without saying that, and she's like, "Anything I can do to help you, father, just tell me," like basically volunteering, just like arguing for him to make the tough decision, which is to kill her, without knowing it. So it's just so fucked up. And so Stannis that makes him mad, and he's like, "That's not true."
Oh, you're here to see her.
Yeah, there's no need. You must keep away from such distractions. And I'm like, ugh, like awful. And Stannis like sticks up for Shireen, which makes it even more disturbing how committed he is to his destiny too, that he's willing to sacrifice the one thing that he's always never faltered for. He everybody in the entire planet told him Shireen was doomed to death from the gray scale, and he called maesters from all around the planet and healers from every corner of Westeros and the planetos, and ended up saving Shireen's life because she is the princess of House Baratheon, like the one thing above everything for him. So it's so heartbreaking for him to sacrifice that for a failed mission, but then it's also super heartbreaking to see Salise's mind change in the last minute, and to see her like wake up sort of from her trance and be like, "Wait, this is wrong. All of this is wrong." You know what I mean? Right. No, don't let her burn. So it's just super fucked, and it like this scene like just sets the stage for all of that, with just seeing how like twisted Selyse is, and we see Stannis stick up for Shireen, we see Selyse putting her down, and everything is turned upside down in the end. And then so he goes to see her, and she sings the creepiest song in the world about this is not explicitly said on the show, but it's another cool little book tidbit that'll make you guys interested. This is a song that's sung by Stannis's fool, Patchface. And we don't really get the fools on the TV show. We have Joffrey, who makes Ser Dantos a fool, but he's never like really like playing the fool character much. But there's all these different fools in the books. Mushroom, I think, is one of them, like from like the old history. There's Patchface. I can't even remember. There's so many, but Patchface wears a little stag antlered crown, like a spoof crown that has like stuff dangling from it, little bells and stuff. So he's got like Motley tattooed on his face and stuff. And so he like dingle dingle jingle jingles all around. And he arrived to Dragonstone as like this child who came from Essos somewhere, and he was like a mental prodigy who was like supposed to be like this super genius kid, and the ship crashed and he ended up like drowning and supposedly, and he was like dead for X amount of time, but he washed ashore and ended up being revived, and he was altered. Now he's like this crazy guy who goes around talking about shadows coming to dance and birds having scales under the sea and fish taking wing and all this weird stuff. And he's like this, like, people have analyzed his his ramblings, and it seems that they are prophetic and predict things such as the Red Wedding and potential future events. The shadows come to dance, like the song she sings now. It's always summer under the sea, and blah blah blah. And the shadows come to dance,
right?
To play. And that seems to be referencing the attempted resurrection or saving of Khal Drogo by Miri Mazdur, when the shadows come to dance and sing in the tent as she's ululating and singing these chants and trying to perform the blood magic ritual. All these shadows come and dance in the tent, and people on the outside can see the shadows moving on the tent, but they know it's just Miri Mazdur in there, but there's all these shadows dancing. So that's one instance of his ramblings being prophetic and referencing other events that are occurring and simultaneously in different areas of the realm. So it's really cool, like weird little stuff like that throughout the novels that like are encoded with secrets that you can decipher. And George R. R. Martin is the best author of all time, basically. He's right up there with Shakespeare. Yeah, Hail Hydra. And so check that out. Definitely read that. So this is a really crazy, creepy scene. That song was cool. And she, right off the bat, Father, you've grown since I last saw you. Mother said you fought in a battle. Did you win?
No.
Did the Onion Knight come back with you? First question.
Nah.
Like, for first thing she asks, besides like, oh, you're okay. Did you win? Oh, that sucks. Is Sir Davos okay? Like, first thing her mind goes to. Obviously, there's some type of special connection with the Onion Knight. She fucking loves this guy, man. Right? So he did. He fought bravely, he says. He hasn't come to visit me. He said he'd bring me back a present from the capital. He won't be visiting, child. Why not? He's my friend. And she pulls out the stag that he carved, which ends up being important in the future. Remember, he goes to have his walk. When he gets really nervous, he goes to walk and shit for all night because he's going to shit all night before a battle. Right? And he finds that burnt stag that he carved and knows the horrible truth. And so here's the introduction of that, which ends up coming full circle. So Stannis is so blunt. If there's anything about Stannis, is blunt, as he's writing the letter to all the lords of the Seven Kingdoms. Remember, your beloved brother, he was not beloved. It's a mindless, harmless courtesy, my lord.
A lie. Take it out.
Yes. Yeah. So like he's ever blunt, and he's like, Sir Davos is a traitor. He's rotting in a dungeon cell for his crime. It's so blunt. Best forget him. Just like, God damn, dude.
I know. And like, she's just so hurt by what he's saying. And he's like, and then like, he's like super uncomfortable after that. Like, you can tell he's like,
when he gets uncomfortable.
All right, I'm going to go now.
He's the best at being uncomfortable. He's uncomfortable here. He's uncomfortable when he's telling his wife about his infidelity, and that's like that look in his face.
Such a great moment
grinding
for him.
Teeth, like oh my God, Stephen Delane. He's not happy with his performances. He's fucking crazy. He's the perfect Stannis.
I know.
He's
it's
the perfect.
Good he didn't
Stannis.
read the books.
Yeah, it's good. Stannis wouldn't have read the books either. You know what I mean? So like, that's exactly the way it had to be, and. It's just so fucking funny. So uncomfortable. And so then next scene we get is Shireen sneaking down to meet Davos. Onion Knight, Sir Onion Knight. Princess. Gods, what are you doing here? Shh, you'll wake Bert. Bert? He's the fat one.
Drunk.
He likes to drink wine and sleep. And it's so funny when she offers to give him reading lessons. I can come when Bert's on duty. Like she's locked in this castle, the poor little girl. Like, and so she knows all the guards. She knows everybody because she like is the ghost of Dragonstone, basically.
Ghost of Dragonstone. Very nice.
It's horrifying. And like Arya is the ghost of Harrenhal. And there is the Ghost of Winterfell too, which you read the books, people. So he said, "Go back to your room. You're not supposed to be here. If your father knew, he said you were a traitor. Are you?" And Davos, "I am, child. I disobeyed my king, your father, and now I'm paying the price." And Shireen, just pure indigo. Look up indigo, children, if you don't know what I'm talking about. I don't care. You're my friend. You know, just like the most innocent, pure thing. Like, it doesn't matter what anybody else says. I know you. I know your essence. You know, whatever you did, you felt it was right. Doesn't matter. You're my friend. I don't care. You know, so it's just fucking.
Everybody
brilliant.
needs a friend like that.
Yeah, and I love Shireen. She's fucking great. Just a beautiful, beautiful essence. She, being that, you know that she's going to be killed at some point, right? You can't exist. You can't be that in this world.
The good die young.
Yeah, really young in this case, sadly. It's so awful. So Davos ever blunt as well. That's what Stannis likes about Davos. That's what Davos likes about Stannis. 2 peas in a motherfucking pod, you know. And right. So she's so considerate. She's like, "You must be bored down here." She brings him a book to read, and it's about Aegon and his dragons. And Aegon used to live here, you know, and it's true. Dragonstone was a stronghold that the Targaryen family built when they fled from Valyria. So Aegon, the Conqueror, grew up in Dragonstone, and she goes on and she's talking about how the Targaryens built the castle, and she tries to give him the book. "You can hide the book under your cloak. It's a good one. I'll bring you more." And he's like, "I thank you, but it would be wasted on me. You know, I'm sure it's a fine book." And she's like, "What are you talking about, my lady? I can't read the words, you know." And that's just a sad moment in itself. And her reaction says it all. And she's like, "You can't?" Like, mind blown by that. Like, she's the viewer. Like, Bran was the viewer in the Jaime scene, and she's the viewer for this moment. And she's surprised because she's been locked in the castle her whole life. She doesn't know what it's like out there. But most people can't read and write in Westeros, you know.
But she's so, like, wonderful about it because she's like, "I'll teach you."
Right, no question.
Not hard.
It's not
super
even
easy.
Yeah, it's not even a question to her. Like, "Oh,
yeah."
Well,
she's like, "Oh, you can't do it? I can."
Yeah, we're both here all the time, and I know. So that's an easy problem to fix. Like, it's gonna be so cool for you, bro. Like, you're gonna learn so much cool stuff, you know. So she's like so enthusiastic and like just super on board with enriching Davos's life and giving him this amazing gift. And she gives him a brief little lesson here. "See this word? This is Aegon. When you see A-E-G together like this, it sounds like egg." Which is kind of cool because we were talking about Duncan egg last week and about Varys being bald as an egg, and egg has significance on this show in general. Stone dragon eggs, you know, like. And
as she's talking about Aegon and his conquest of Westeros, what does the voiceover carry to?
I can't remember.
Daenerys.
Oh, awesome!
Marching with the Unsullied.
But that's cool.
Yeah, I love that.
I have a question about the grammar here as well. The title of the book is An History of Aegon the Conqueror and His Conquest of Westeros. Right, so it is an history. Wouldn't that, like, grammatically, wouldn't that be a history? Isn't it? Don't you use an if there's a vowel? It would be,
but there are...
exceptions? Because I feel like an history is common.
An is used. An is used before a lot of H words.
Okay.
I can't think of them now. Of course, an honorable man.
Oh, that's
right?
That one's the H is silent though.
I'm trying to remember other ones. That's the one that just came to. But it's tricky. There's
that's weird.
A certain rule when it comes to H.
It's interesting.
So
cool. Thanks.
Yeah.
It was just, stuck out to me. But yeah, back to the matter at hand. Good little scene. I love Shireen and her little history lessons. She's always talking about books and the Targaryen kings, and she gives
her and Tyrion would have gotten along very well.
Oh man, yeah, that would have been so cool. Wow, what a crazy combo that would have been. She remember in season 6, I believe, before she's killed, she is giving Stannis a lesson on the dance of dragons, and he's like, we talked about it last week. The dances with the Targaryen factions when Aegon II made his family made a power move to secure the throne ahead of his sister, who was ahead of him in line, and Stannis being the ever clinical, sterilized, blunt, non-poetic, you know what the vibe I'm getting for. He doesn't get it. He's like, why do they call it a dance? Right. He's like, this is a fight. He's so clinical and lacking flavor.
Yeah, lacking of any kind of symbolism or.
Yeah, it's fucking great. It's so brilliant. Like it's the way that George is able to capture the essence of people in these different ways.
I agree.
These people seem like real people. Like we're talking about this shit for like 3 hours a week. You know what I mean? Like it's kind of fucked up. Maybe we need to see some psychiatrists or something.
It is what it is, man. Yeah. We also have people that like to listen to it for 3 hours a week.
So we can all be crazy together.
That's the best part.
Oh yeah, it is. The cuckoo's nest. So yeah, that pretty much wraps up my numero uno. How about you?
Cool, man. So my number 1 was the title, Kissed by Fire.
I knew that was going to be your number 1, so I didn't include it in my list.
Actually, you'll be surprised. That's not the only thing that's my number 1, all right? Yes, Kissed by Fire, we all think refers to the let's get it on, right?
Yeah.
Cave sex. So Jon and Ygritte finally take it to the next level.
Take their relationship to the next level.
Everybody had been waiting on.
She steals his maidenhood. Oh, I got to say something about that real quick, if you don't mind.
Sure.
She has a line to him when they're about to do it, right? She steals his sword. Okay, yeah, that's what it was. She steals his sword. And I thought that sort of was foreshadowing her, like, sort of stealing his other sword in a couple minutes.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Well, and it could be, like, their wildling wedding night.
Yeah, it's like they totally, like, sort of reversed the concept of... They even make a joke of it by calling him a maid. Typically, in the wildling culture, the male steals the female, right? She totally steals the male.
She stole him.
She steals his sword, steals his sword, forces himself on her sexually. Or, I mean, doesn't force him, but, like, definitely, like, makes that happen.
Right.
He goes along willingly, but not without a little pushing, a little stripping.
Before he pushes it himself.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, it's probably the happiest that we see Jon so far. And
oh, yeah.
Since.
No question. The first time we've seen him, like get love.
Smile.
Like, and, at least that type of love.
Yeah, absolutely. So, they're talking in the cave about, Ygritte and her past, conquests, I guess.
So funny.
She's been with another ginger who was kissed by fire just like her, and Jon kissed his own fire, and everybody loved it. Everybody loved it.
Fire crotch joke.
Ygritte couldn't even get out nothing Jon Snow because she quickly realized that he might know something. Yeah. But if you go away from that and you go, into why is this called Kissed by Fire? There's so much that's happening other than Jon Snow losing his maidenhead, right?
Maidenhead. Classic.
So you have Sandor Clegane's fight where everything has been erupted in flame. The sword has been kissed by fire. The shield has been kissed by fire. Sandor's face has been kissed by fire. Yeah. Right?
There's that one point where the fire, like, literally, like, French kisses him, where he steps over the fire, like you mentioned, and it just, like, kisses him. His whole body is just, like, engulfed with a spark
Everything is everywhere.
Sparks kiss him all over.
You have Jaime's confession where he's talking about the wildfire and what he has prevented with the killing the pyromancer and the wildfire that had been stashed all over the city. And then you have Barristan Selmy and Jorah's conversation about their war stories, and Jorah mentions that Thoros goes into what was it? The Pike? Was it Pike?
Yeah, they're talking about
and he went in with the flaming sword.
Yep. And they end up talking about that in person in Beyond the Wall. Remember?
Oh, that's
you
right.
You were the bravest man I ever saw. I was drunk.
That's right.
I didn't even remember it.
I don't even remember it.
Yeah. That's great.
So, my number one was going to be the scene between Jon and Ygritte, but,
drunkest man you ever saw. Sorry.
It's okay. But it was...
oh, my God.
There wasn't really a lot more than that, other than the mention of, it finally happened, and it could be referred as their kind of wedding night, and, I am yours and you are mine, and all of that stuff. It was a wildling wedding. Right.
Straight up.
And so
they sleep in the same tent from then on.
From that point on, they kind of have each other's backs, and
she has his back with a couple arrows.
Right. Exactly. Well, that's what I was saying, to a certain extent. Right? So, funny. So I decided to play with the title a little bit. And
love it.
I like trying to figure out why things were titled the way that they are.
You swore some vows. I want you to break them.
Yeah, I know.
I like that moment. We shouldn't. We should. It's just a great little back and forth there. The battle between, the vows and everything. That's Jon's moment of conflict, where he, knowing Ned violated his vow, it's somewhere in the back of his mind may have had an influence on him here, where it was like, maybe it's not so bad, and in the end.
Yeah, maybe not, buddy.
Why are you still dressed? You know nothing, Jon Snow.
Yeah.
Classic. Yeah, so that was a good scene. I did like, his continued conflict of deciding how much information he can give up.
Right.
I liked Tormund. Had one of the best lines. I like you, boy, but if you lie to me, I'll pull your guts out through your throat.
I love Tormund.
Fucking great. That guy is so cool. Tormund. And his voice is just so unique, too.
And now he is, Jon Snow's ride or die.
Yeah, basically. They sort of hit it off right off the bat, I think there was, some sort of respect, immediately for some reason. Even though he says that Jon's prettier than his daughters. So that was cool. Let's see. Yeah, the moment where he asks, were you a maid? And she starts telling him, and eventually, yeah, thanks, I think I've heard enough.
Right.
I'm starting to feel sick.
Right. He's like, okay. Yeah, that's a dangerous game to play with anybody.
So funny. Then, what is it? What else we got? That was it for your number one, right?
Yeah, I have one. I have a couple of notes, but one of them that I didn't get to mention was that we got to see 5 new characters tonight. We see Grey Worm. Qyburn finally actually gets a character, other than half dead guy on the gate.
Mm-hmm.
We see Shireen for the first time, Selyse for the first time.
Yep.
And I also put Oliver in there because I felt like he was he's
really
a
significant character.
Mm-hmm.
For sure.
So those are our 5 new characters for our already complicated woven tapestry.
Epic. How about your note?
The other one is just if we wanted to talk about we never went to Essos tonight.
Oh, right.
Yeah, I just really loved that scene between Dany and Grey Worm, where Grey Worm was like, "No, I love my name. My name is Lucky."
Yeah, that was really cool.
She's horrified, and he's trying to tell her,
"I don't
want the name that I was taken, as a slave.
Yeah.
I want the name where somebody freed me. I am Grey Worm. I'll own it.
It's interesting, too. It's slightly different than the books. Do you remember the difference here?
I don't.
As part of the Unsullied brainwashing, they have the Unsullied soldier pick a different weapon every day, and there is a name inscribed on the weapon. And whatever that weapon says, that's your name that day. So you don't have a name really. Like that day, he was Grey Worm, and so when he has this meeting with her in the books, he's like, the day that I was freed, I was Grey Worm. Like Grey Worm is a lucky name. That was my name the day. It wasn't like, oh, like I was captured and they made me Grey Worm and that's just what I've been. It was like, no. That was the day that the Daenerys Stormborn freed me. That's the day that I was Grey Worm.
That would have been a better story.
Yeah, so little things like that are different in the books that are just to add like little different elements to it. I thought that was kind of a cool one worth mentioning. So yeah, every day the Unsullied have a different name. Maybe that was just too psychologically traumatic to include in the show.
Right.
So yeah, it's a lucky name. He got Grey Worm the day that he was freed. So fucking awesome. I like Grey Worm, man. He's a cool guy. He really cool accent.
He's a favorite.
Yeah.
Favorite of mine.
Yup. So let's see. I had written down in my notes that when Baelish goes and is talking with Cersei and she wants him to do something for her, she is scary looking, man. She looks like the epitome of like the powerful queen figure, where she's just like, she just looks really scary. really, really scary. Yeah. And she's like, and your best will prove better than when I asked you to locate Arya Stark. And just grills him. And he's like, I assure you that it will, but I'm like, damn, she's scary looking. And then we had a scene where Tyrion is talking with Olenna, with fucking Tyrion and the Queen of Thorns have a scene together. And it was money, as you would expect. As
she's
these
like,
titans.
I'm rather disappointed.
Yeah. And his response to that, he's like surprised that she's underwhelmed by him. It's sort of the same reaction that Oberyn described. He's used to getting such extreme reactions from people. He's surprised. He's taken aback that she's underwhelmed, right? He's trying to be so polite and to offset that perception, and it like works too much, So
well, it also shows, just what Tywin does to very strong characters, such as Tyrion,
Yeah.
He doesn't want to step out of line. He doesn't
cowed.
want to, yeah. He doesn't want to bring any attention to himself, to his father.
So funny. And then when he does succeed and gets Olenna to fund half the wedding, and he tells his father, and he just blows him off like, there's more important things to talk about. And he's like, I'm the
Master of
Coin, and I just saved half the money for the wedding. That's kind of a big deal. And he just blows him off totally. But this is such a funny scene. He's like, she's explaining that, traditionally the royal family pays for the wedding. And he's like, but we're at war. And she's like, oh, yeah. I forgot. Yeah, what is it? 12,000 infantrymen, 2,000 in support, provisions for the city to survive the winter, 1 million bushels of wheat, 500,000 bushels of barley, each barley, oats, and rye, 20,000 heads of cattle, 50,000 sheep. Yeah, we are at war. Yeah, I'm funding that war, you dumbass.
Yeah. Still, you can't pay for this one.
Yeah, and it's so funny, man. She goes on to say that it's better they provide distractions for the people, otherwise they'll create their own, and those distractions will likely end with us being torn to pieces, like the Septon in the riot at King's Landing last season, when who threw their poops on me? Joffrey gets pegged with poops, and
kill them all.
Yeah, and the High Septon gets torn to pieces, literally. Isn't that what happened to Mussolini too?
Is it?
Somebody got torn to pieces. Yeah.
Okay.
So that's pretty crazy.
I have some gaps in my history.
Yeah, me too. Trust me. So Yeah, it's kind of funny. I was told you were drunk, impertinent, and thoroughly debauched. You can imagine my disappointment at finding nothing but a browbeaten bookkeeper. Yeah, his expression is great. She is fucking hilarious, too, and the scene's starting, and she's like, are there figs? Fetch some! And, like, she's just so snarky with the help and everything.
Move the bowels.
Yeah, I always take figs mid-afternoon. And then, like, she gets interrupted, and he goes to say something, and she's just like, fuck it, I'll pay for half, basically. And he's like, oh, thank you so much. She just felt bad for him. I think she, like, developed sympathy for his character, that he seemed like such a weak, pathetic person compared to, like, the crazy guy she was expecting. And she was like, I actually do kind of want to help you out. Throw you a bone. Yeah, fuck it. It's so funny.
It's like, sounds good.
Yeah. What else we got? Oh, there was the line where Barristan said, a man of honor keeps his vows even if he's serving a drunk or a lunatic. And that both tells us how he would feel about Jaime, considering Jaime broke his vows and killed the lunatic king that he was serving. And it was like sort of a prodding question to see how loyal Barristan, or how loyal Jorah is to Dany, I think, as well, because they were both sort of testing each other throughout those conversations. He says, oh yeah, he says, do you believe in her? And he says, with all my heart, which is a great line. And it's just so sad too, because Barristan is going to out him, but he really does believe in her with all his heart, you know. So the whole Barristan, or the whole Jorah storyline, is really sad. At a lot of times, his whole life, basically, you know.
I know, poor Jorah.
Yeah, poor Jorah. I mean, he did sell some slaves, though, so yeah, he kind of earned some of it.
He did deserve it a few times.
Yeah, some of the times he deserved it. So that was cool. Oh, Littlefinger has another great line where it sums up some, like, his worldview. And I had talked recently about somebody that I had seen describing psychological tendencies that differ between men and women, and how, like, largely men and women are similar, but it's the extremes where you start to see the differences. And like the most extreme buff guy will be like way bigger than the most extreme buff woman, or like the most extreme like I don't know. You get the point. Yeah. But they were talking about how men tend to be more obsessed with things. So when you like go to the extreme of that, that's why like 90% of engineers are men. And then you go to the other extreme, women tend to be more like obsessive with people and social stuff. And so that's why like 90%, 85% of nurses are women, because they're more drawn to work with people and help people, whereas guys are more like drawn to things and like figuring out things. And you know,
that's interesting.
Yeah, pretty cool. So like you can see like extremes, like where like the real differences between men and women tend to be. Although we're largely, you know, similar. Generally speaking. So that was kind of cool, because Littlefinger has a line here that illustrates that, where he says, strange, isn't it? He's talking with Sansa. What is? It doesn't matter what we want. Once we get it, then we want something else, you know. He says, I've always wanted a ship, now I want a dozen. Right? And it's like, guys, just fixated on that on stuff, whatever it is, you know, like something like that you're like obsessing about, whether it's that car or that like guitar or that, you know, that nuclear physics project you're working on, or like whatever, you know, like there's something you're thinking about. It's true with me. I definitely like things. Non-sexually, you know, that was not like,
I like,
no pun intended.
I like, I like people, studying people, stuff like that.
There you go. So. Right. I mean, I like people too, but I really like things too. Yeah. So, I mean, yeah, you know, we all have our own things, you know. It's cool.
I think so.
It's cool. It's cool, man. Tywin had a cool line. This is a plot. Plots are not public knowledge.
Right.
And you mentioned me with conspiracy theories, so I was like, that's right. That's so funny. We need to act first and kill this union in its crib, he says, talking about preventing Sansa from being married into the Tyrell household. So we'll make our move at some point, he says, after Joffrey's they'll make their move after Joffrey's wedding. We need to move first. So that, to me, also foreshadowed in grossly accurate description the killing of the unborn prince of Robb and Talisa. Tywin says, we need to act first and kill this union in its crib. And so that is sort of metaphorical of killing the union of Robb and Talisa, the child, and in its crib, in this case being the womb. So like he had just ordered the Red Wedding probably. He's like, kill Robb, kill Talisa. If she's pregnant, I don't care. Kill the baby. Like we need to just
kill
eliminate
all of them.
All.
Kill the future.
Yeah. Future Tommen died as a result. So he kills their future. It blows back on him. You know, his whole family's future is pretty much destroyed in the end, which is exactly what he's done to other houses. That's his MO. House Rain, House so Tarbeck. Deserved. The Rains of Castamere is such a somber song because it's prophetically coming back to bite the Lannisters. You know, now the rains weep over the Lannisters' halls. You know, essentially. He was so blunt and clinical with Cersei. Yes, you will. You're still fertile. You need to marry again and breed.
Right.
I'm Queen Regent, not some broodmare. You're my daughter. He's so intense. Yeah, that covers my notes too. Pretty much
cool. I think we did a good job with this one, man.
Yeah, definitely lots of cool stuff to cover. Lots of fun revelations. Awesome. That was great. So yes, hang with us, guys. We'll be right back. That was Kiss of Fire by Symphony X, my favorite band of all time. And I thought it fit considering this episode was titled Kissed by Fire. And we're back with news about Game of Thrones. Take it away, lady.
This article comes from Newsweek, in an article by a man named Andrew Whalen, titled George R.R. Martin blogged on hold to focus on Game of Thrones and A Song of Ice and Fire projects.
Interesting.
George R.R. Martin, author of A Song of Ice and Fire series, on which HBO's Game of Thrones is based, announced he'll be dialing back his online presence to focus on work. The writer currently has multiple irons in the fire, but it's tempting to read this renewed focus as a positive sign for the oft-delayed The Winds of Winter release, the 6th entry in A Song of Ice and Fire series. So we've been talking a lot about Grimm and the delay of the last 2 books, and Duncan and I don't really like to kind of emphasize any of this because, you know, he'll put it out when he puts it out, and that's how it's going to go. But I thought this article was really interesting because he has so much on his plate right now that I thought
seriously
you would enjoy as listeners, knowing that it's not just him off, food blogging or anything. He actually has a lot going on. So here are the projects occupying Martin's time. He has 5 HBO shows. HBO wants to fill the vacuum that will be left behind when Game of Thrones wraps its final season. So far, that involves 5 different spin-off pitches, which we've talked about before, each headed up by a different writer. Martin is advising on all 5 of them. He's got other movies and TV projects. So studios are looking at adapting more of his work outside of A Song of Ice and Fire.
Night Flyers.
Not much is known about Martin's other projects, but he has written about meetings with some major film studios, and some possibilities include older novels and novellas like A Song for Leah, The Glass Flower, Portraits of Its Children, and as Duncan just said, we do have the Night Flyers, right?
Yeah, Night Flyers is coming out on Sci-Fi.
Which is coming out, right. So he's producing adaptations and editing other work. In addition to working on 5 different shows based on his own work, Martin is also producing an HBO adaptation of Nnedi Okorafor's novel, Who Fears Death. Martin has always been an enthusiastic promoter of fellow fantasy and sci-fi writers, which
Definitely
extends
true.
into his editing work on numerous short story compilations, like the ongoing Wildcards anthologies.
And all the little novellas, but I'm not sure about the Duncan Egg ones. Yeah. The Duncan Egg novellas and all the other like little ones, they're all found within anthologies and compilations of other stuff, basically, like collections of short stories by a bunch of authors that he puts works in to encourage people to explore other authors that he enjoys. So yeah, he's definitely a big proponent of that.
He also has what we have talked about. I think we talked about this last week, his Fire and Blood series. So Martin has a book set in Westeros coming out before the Winds of Winter. His epic 2-volume history of the Targaryen dynasty, Fire and Blood. The first volume should be completed soon, he wrote in February. Once jokingly referred to as the Grrm Marillion.
The Grimmarillion.
The Grimmarillion, thank you.
It's a play on a Tolkien book called the Silmarillion or something.
I do remember, yeah. Fire and Blood reflects the obsessive amount of background and history that goes into A Song of Ice and Fire novels. Final touches on this, his next book release, is one of the most likely focuses of Martin's Buckle Down work period. And finally, of course, the Winds of Winter release. Will Martin be wrapping up his next novel soon, or is he cutting back on his blogging to clear his plate in anticipation of focusing on the Winds of Winter next? Back in 2016, Martin wrote, "There's a lot written, hundreds of pages, dozens of chapters. Barring major structural changes, it sure seems likely the Winds of Winter must be close to completion. But, as Martin himself has stated over and over, it will be done when it's done."
Can't wait.
Take your time, buddy.
Yeah.
Make sure it's good.
It's going to be awesome. I have full confidence.
Yep.
Our next item is from winteriscoming.net. Composer John Williams is leaving Star Wars Episode 9. Should Ramin Djawadi fill his shoes? By David Harris. That's the entire article, yes.
Yep. Yes.
And now for Raven's Calls. No. If you've watched any Star Wars film ever, from A New Hope in 1977 to The Last Jedi in 2017, then you have heard legendary composer John Williams' score. The man has 5 Academy Awards, 7 BAFTAs, 3 Emmys, 4 Golden Globes, and a whopping 24, that's right, Grammys.
Wow.
Williams won those prestigious awards for his work on films like Star Wars, Raiders of the Lost Ark, E.T., and Schindler's List. And he's just like, without a doubt, the most prolific and famous movie composer of all time.
He needs a Tony, and he'll be E-guy.
He has a great has a good paraphrase of a quote where good artists borrow, great artists steal. So this year, he's been nominated for an Academy Award for his score of The Last Jedi. He's a living legend. Sadly, it looks like Williams is leaving Star Wars behind after he finishes his score for Episode 9, which is out next year. We know J.J. Abrams is preparing one now that I will hopefully do for him next year, Williams told Classic KUSC. I look forward to it. It will round out a series of 9. That will be quite enough for me.
Wow.
Yeah. I don't think he did the music for Rogue One, though.
No, just the episodes.
Okay, yeah, that's what I thought. That sound you heard was millions of Star Wars fans suddenly crying out in terror. You know what that's referencing, right? The destruction of Alderaan.
Oh, yeah.
a silence in the forces. Millions of voices suddenly cried out in terror. But realistically, Williams is 86 years old. Old. It says Ulf in the article. At some point, a successor must be named to fill his shoes. In 2016, Rogue One, a Star Wars story, became the first Star Wars film Williams didn't score. That task fell to Michael Giacchino. Spider-Man, Homecoming, War for the Planet of the Apes, Coco. And although Williams will have a hand in the score for Solo, a Star Wars story, the main composer will be John Powell, who's from Ice Age, Rio, and How to Train Your Dragon.
So, just funny story real quick. We were talking about Star Wars movies in the car a couple days ago with my kids.
Nice.
And Dave was like, yeah, and Solo's coming out this weekend. And my daughter, who is just a Star Wars fanatic, she goes, Daddy, it's Solo, a Star Wars story. We're like, oh, so sorry.
Classic. What was the full title for Rogue One? I just said it. A Star Wars story. They're both a Star Wars story, huh?
Yeah.
That's classic. So, when Williams leaves the conductor's podium after episode 9, who will pick up his baton and take his place? I humbly submit Game of Thrones composer Ramin Djawadi.
I second
as well. And if that fails, I submit my friend Steve Goldshine, who is my roommate at Berklee College of Music. So, look him up and hire him.
Ramin Djawadi.
Yeah. The main theme for Game of Thrones is now iconic, as are many of his other compositions for the show, including Goodbye Brother, Light of the Seven, and many more. And you guys remember Light of the Seven is that epic music from the season 6 finale, The Winds of Winter. That was that made the episode. It was just amazing piece of music.
I listened to it before we started recording.
Oh, really? Get you in the mood? Nice.
Yep.
Yeah, it's really good song. Djawadi has several Emmy nominations for his work on Thrones, of course, but also for shows like Westworld and Prison Break, both of which I've heard good things about.
Prison Break is awesome.
Right, that's what I've heard. On the big screen, his resume includes hits like Iron Man, Clash of the Titans, and Pacific Rim. I love all three of those movies. Really good. By every metric, Ramin Djawadi is more than capable of tackling the Star Wars franchise, one of the most popular film franchises on Earth. Yeah, I'm totally on board with that. Totally on board.
Me too.
There's another reason why Djawadi would fit right in at Lucasfilm. David Benioff and Dan Weiss. After that, I said Weiss. Whoa. David Benioff and Dan Weiss. Right?
Weiss.
Yeah, Daniel Weiss. After they're done making Game of Thrones, the pair will be writing and directing a new series of Star Wars films. Benioff, yeah, so I'm pretty sure this will happen. Benioff and Weiss, Benioff and Weiss have been working with Djawadi since the show began, and they know how good he is. What better way to start their new tenure in a galaxy far, far away than by employing the composer who's been turning in distinguished work for the past 8 years. Ramin Djawadi is the man for the job. I submit. I agree. His writing on Game of Thrones has been fantastic. The minute melodic changes that he makes and his capability to combine different characters' themes and different just themes in general, whether it's something whimsical combined with something militaristic, or you have combined with some like crazy like strings, like we had with that scene with Arya, as we hear the mystical, wondrous Arya theme playing over a militant Tywin music. It was like he's just so good at these little tiny things. Most people have no idea about it. It's literally impossible for most people to pick up on this stuff. Mm-hmm. I can't even pick up on it. I only know about this, like the details, because of podcast Winterfell and Matt Murdock's Clef Notes, which I highly recommend listening to. I've recommended it a number of times, and if you're new to the podcast or something, definitely check out old episodes of podcast Winterfell when he did Clef Notes and analyzed the music and the subtle differences that Ramin would employ based on the environment and the circumstances of any given episode. And I haven't had time to listen to many other podcasts lately after working on this one so much, but I know that Podcast Winterfell now has a new host, I believe. And I haven't listened to it, but it's this guy Axel, who was a frequent guest before, and I'm sure it's awesome. So just check out that show in general. I'm sure it's really good still. Podcast Winterfell.
Dave Hal Berg. Mm-hmm. Greetings, betrothed beauties and brow-beaten bookkeepers.
Yes.
As
Awesome.
much as I hate Tywin, you have to admire how he outmaneuvered the Tyrells and Littlefinger with his wedding matches. It was great seeing Cersei's smug look disappear when she was told of her own betrothal. Oh. I won't mention the bathtub scene because I know it will be covered in detail, even though I think it's a top 10 scene. Huh?
I said you just mentioned it, Dave.
I know, right? The fire duel between Dondarrion and the Hound was fun to watch again. I remember being so surprised when Thoros brought him back from the dead. In season 7, it seems almost normal, but back when I first saw it, it was a huge deal.
Massive.
Thanks and keep up the strong work.
Well, thanks for your feedback, Dave. It's always awesome to hear from you. Even if you lie to us.
Yeah. Even if you say, I'm not going to mention this, but I'm going to mention this.
That's awesome. Gemma Hall says, "You know nothing, Jon Snow."
He knows a little something.
I know a little about love. Baby, I can guess the rest.
Matthew Rep says, Tywin playing matchmaker simultaneously strengthens the alliance between Tyrell and Lannister, and also removes the possibility of a Stark-Tyrell alliance, ruining Olenna's plan to wed Sansa to Loras. Looks like no one out of the four is happy at the new arrangement. Poor Robb is making one bad decision after another. At least he did a better job swinging the sword than Theon. Knowing what is to come and hearing Robb's plan to try and regain the support of the Freys is just painful. I don't know about you, but I'd refuse to be in the care of Qyburn as well.
Jaime probably thinks he's going to be molested or something.
I know, right?
Oh, that's great. Rachel Fox says, hashtag cave sex.
Cave sex, brown chicken, wow, wow.
Brown chicken, brown cow.
Baby. Sorry. All right, we have some emails, and the first one is from Ivy.
It looks like AV.
AV. I thought it was like a play on Oive.
Oh yeah, I don't know. I feel like it's AV because I think I've heard it before on like Deadcast or something.
All right. Oops. AV. Great podcast. Just one thought. Daenerys, Jon, and Tyrion all have many things in common. Perhaps most interesting, each of their mothers died whilst giving birth to them. Keep the awesome podcast going. Cheers, A.
I thought that was an interesting observation.
Yes.
Yeah. Pretty cool.
Oh, she has another one.
Yeah, she continues.
Oh, okay. You could take that one.
She also has a second email. I think she may have sent it a little while ago and I missed it. So now that I've seen it, I would love to read it. Great podcast. I've listened and continue to listen to every episode. Keep it going. Thank you. Here are some of my thoughts that you may find interesting. 1. When Jon traveled to meet Daenerys for the first time in season 7, Daenerys didn't know Ned openly rebelled against King Robert, killing her unborn baby. That is a good point. If she had known that Ned was the only person in King's Landing to stick up for her and her child's right to live, that would have been cool.
Yeah.
And she didn't know that Ned was her brother-in-law, basically, either, right? So
that's interesting. I like that.
Yeah, imagine how much different, like, the initial meeting between Jon and Daenerys would have been if Daenerys had known of Ned sticking up for her. Mm-hmm. Be crazy. She continues, I was wondering why did she still believe this? 1, Varys was on the small council and knew Ned did not want her baby killed, and also knew that Ned even quit as Hand of King over this. Good point. That Sir Patrick would say that this may be evidence that Varys is not playing the straight and narrow.
Sir Patrick is wrong.
Straight and narrow. 2. Also, didn't Captain of the Kingsguard Barristan not know his objections to this too. Ned's hand resignation was big news, and King Robert was emotional and hardly kept his frustrations just to himself. In fact, in Season 1, Episode 7, just as Ned came out of Robert's room, he spoke to Varys about Robert wanting to cancel the kill order of Daenerys' unborn baby. Barristan was there and could hear everything. That's true, I do remember that. 3. Both Varys and Barristan were advisors and shared a lot of past knowledge with Daenerys. One would think that at least one of them would have shared this bit of info with her. Of course, Daenerys not knowing this fact adds to the story and the drama. That's true. It'd be much less interesting.
But to what end? Like, Ned Stark is dead.
Yeah, true.
So I don't understand why it would be important information.
Maybe just to maintain to create some sort of tension between Jon and Dany, just because they don't have any reason to connect or trust each other. Like, they don't have a common thread, someone who stood up for both of them.
Oh, well, maybe that'll be found out later. You never know. That'd
be really cool.
Yeah, we still have one more season.
Yeah. So, her next point, Arya's confrontation with 2 dumb guards at King's Landing in Season 1, and then again in Season 7, Episode 4, where she returns to Winterfell. Both cases, the guards did not believe her, they threatened her, and in both cases, she used similar threats about what might happen to them if they turned her away and Ned/Sansa found out. Oh, that's true, I remember that, too. They, if my father finds out you wouldn't let me in, there'll be hell to pay.
Arya Stark of Winterfell.
If Sansa finds out you turned me away at the gates, oh, man.
I think that's why she was so amused at the gate. She's like, this always happens.
Yeah, totally. And then those 2 guys in Winterfell are like arguing about it, and she sneaks off while they're distracted. So classic. Awesome. Classic Arya. That's great. She says, there was another, but I seem to have forgotten it. I'll send it if I remember. Cheers, AV. Thanks, AV.
Yes,
not sure if you're a guy or a girl, so I didn't want to add a lord or a lady, but let us know, and I would love to address you with your proper title.
All right, the next email is from Lady Rachel of House Fox. Greetings, Lady K and Sarah D.
Greetings.
7 blessings to you. Hope you are both doing well. Here are my thoughts for Season 3, Episode 5, Kissed by Fire. First, I wanted to start off with the song Princess Shireen sings, as I feel it has a lot of hidden meanings, so I'll go lyric by lyric. It's always summer under the sea. This could reference that the whites and the White Walkers cannot go into water. Therefore, it's always summer under the sea because winter cannot consume any water.
Yeah, the influence of the long night and the winter cannot breach the water surface. That's interesting.
Well, until the water freezes and then they can walk on the ice.
Yeah, true. But salt water doesn't really freeze for the most part.
Right. Well,
the little patches.
Right. But we did. I mean, most of that. What you call it? Battle beyond the wall was fought on ice.
Oh yeah, that was on that ice lake, right? That was cool. Mm-hmm. I really liked that video of how they made
if
that.
I remember correctly, there were whites that were pulling Jon down in the water.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, definitely.
I'll have to look at that episode again. Oh, darn. I'll have to watch it.
Oh, no.
Oh, bummer.
Twist my rubber arm. Threaten me with a good time.
The birds have scales. I feel this is a reference to the dragons. They're essentially ginormous scaled birds. Yes, very true. And the fish take wing. This could be a reference to Blackfish fleeing the Red Wedding. Oh,
that's so cool, too. Yeah, these are really good interpretations.
The rain is dry. This is a nod to House Rain, who was wiped out by the Lannisters.
Uh-huh.
Sorry, I had to swallow. And the snow falls up. I think it's a nod beyond the wall, as in the snow falls up north. The stones crack open. This references Dany's dragons. The eggs were thought to be stone, but when they cracked open in the fire, her dragons were born. Very true.
Mm-hmm.
The water burns. This is a nod to the battle of Blackwater when Tyrion lit the water ablaze with wildfire.
See, everything he says means something. You gotta read the books, because there's really cool prophecies in there.
Hydra.
Hell, motherfucking Hydra.
The shadows come to dance, my love. The shadows come to play. This could depict the shadow baby Melisandre's birth. The shadow baby comes to play the game by murdering Redley.
There's that too, yep.
The shadows come to stay. I feel the last part of this song foreshadows winter arriving and all that goes with it.
The long night.
It is a dark omen that they come to stay. I can't imagine Game of Thrones will end with everyone happy and safe in season 8. Well, I can.
Yeah, definitely. The shadow comes...
Is this a foretelling of how the series may end?
It's definitely eliciting the feel of the long night. The shadows come to stay. That's the long night. The long night is shadows staying, you know?
Right,
That's fucking wild.
Absolutely.
That's cool.
Well, the song was originally sung by Stannis' fool, Patchface, who doesn't appear on the show, who sung it about his days lost at sea. Patchface's songs are known to be dark and sullen, so while his lyrics may be literal to his experience being lost at sea, I tried to take them and look at them figuratively through the lens of the show.
Yes, that's exactly what you got to do with his stuff. All right. I'll take over from here, Lady K. Moving on to some of my favorite parts of the actual episode. Cave sex, fuck yeah! It's like America, fuck yeah. Come in here to save the motherfucking day, yeah. Cave sex, fuck yeah. Damn you a grit, I hate your face, Jon Snow is mine. That's her next, her next line there. Cave sex, fuck yeah. Damn you a grit, I hate your face, Jon Snow is mine. LOL. In this scene, we get the name of the episode, Kissed by Fire. She's doing the nasty with Jon, who is also kissed by fire, but in a different way, meaning that he is a Targaryen. Ooh, very nice observation. Very good. She also says to Jon, you swore some vows, I want you to break them. Sorry. You swore some vows, I want you to break them. Being that Jon is also a true Stark, breaking his vows is something that is definitely out of character for him. Speaking of vows and breaking them, I feel like this is a theme that appears through the entire episode. Jaime's bath scene with Brienne is a great example of this. He expresses to Brienne all the vows and oaths he took and how they can become convoluted and conflicting. He had to make a choice to break his oath or vow as a member of the Kingsguard in order to save King's Landing. Jaime had to quickly act on which vow he was to break. He ended up being heroic in that moment, and due to his pride, he's never tried to defend himself when people call him Kingslayer. And due to his oath to keep the king's secrets, so he is keeping as many oaths as possible. He only breaks his oaths when he determines that it is absolutely must be done. There is no option otherwise. So he breaks his oath to protect the king because the king is going to kill far more people. He weighs the pros and cons and does that. He ends up he not defending himself when people call him Kingslayer because his honor isn't enough of a reason for him to break his oath to keep the king's secrets. So it's his own form of honor that's the reason why his honor is looked upon as being so awful. Ironically, which is a great thing to pick up on here. Good job, Lady Rachel.
Yes, good job.
Yeah. So he says, by what right does the wolf judge the lion? And he knows nothing he would say to defend himself will change people's minds. It's sad. And that's another reason why he didn't speak up for himself. Another example of breaking a vow is the scene with Robb and Lord Karstark. I think Lord Karstark lost a lot of respect for Robb when he married Talissa.
Yes.
Yeah, definitely. He felt Robb broke his vow to House Frey, and as we all know what's coming, he saw that this was Robb's downfall. I love this scene with Shireen and Davos in the dungeon. Stannis felt that Davos broke his vow of loyalty to him and named him traitor. Shireen, being stubborn like her father, goes down to visit Davos. She hands him the book, which is titled An History of Aegon the Conqueror and His Conquest of Westeros. The very next scene, we see Dany riding her silver. I love how the writers use the title of the book Shireen gives Davos, then cut over to Dany, whose goal is to conquer Westeros. So clever. Just like you said, Lady K.
Yes, sir.
Awesome. The dialogue between Jorah and Barristan is great. Again, vows and oaths appear in their dialogue to each other. Barristan explains his vow to a lunatic and a drunk, and he says, just once in my life, I want to fight for someone who I believe in. Shows he wants to vow his service to someone whose worth is loyalty. What's that? Do I hear wedding bells? One of my favorite scenes this episode is Tywin dropping the wedding bomb on his children. Cersei and her smug look at Tyrion is great as you watch it die on her face when Tywin says she will marry Loras. Both Tyrion and Cersei now have to take vows to marry in order to keep the Tyrells and the Starks in the Lannisters' pockets. Sansa is the key to the North, as Tywin says. This comment shows me that Tywin already gave the orders to Lord Bolton to execute the Red Wedding. He knows Robb is done for. He also said his days are numbered. Poor Arya. It seems to me that this episode is the nail in the coffin for her childhood. She leaves this episode in an extremely dark place. In her mind, injustice always prevails. She can't understand why bad people seem to win and honorable people seem to lose. This goes, and on top of that, being betrayed by people that are close to you, like Gendry leaves her in this episode, you know? So this goes back to when Tywin asks what killed her father. She answers with loyalty. Poignant. Why take vows and oaths and be loyal when it gets you killed? I find it interesting that when Arya recites her list of names in this episode, she's looking into the flames sitting across from Thoros. This prayer becomes Arya's vow to herself and is what keeps her going. I feel this foreshadows when Lady Melisandre sees Arya and looks into her eyes, and she says that she sees eyes staring back at her. One's Arya will close forever. Could it be that by reciting her list into the flames shows Melisandre who she will kill? Here are some honorable mentions that don't necessarily tie in with my theme of vows, but are just some of my favorite moments on the show. Oh, the Queen of Thorns. Her banter with Tyrion is great. I love figs. Where did you go for them? Volantis? I love how Tyrion grabs one after she leaves. It reminded me of when she says to Pycelle, I haven't had a proper shit in weeks. Just a great scene. When he says to Pycelle, I haven't had a proper shit in weeks. I love Olenna's quote, people crave distractions. If we don't provide them, they will create their own. So true. Let them eat cake. Sort of similar quote by Marie Antoinette, getting to the same thing. Same type of theme. Arya and Gendry. I could be your family. Could this be a foreshadow of their possible marriage in season 8? It would be so weird for the show to do that, so because she's just still so young, you know.
Right.
Although the actress is like over 18 at this point. In a previous voice recording I sent to Raven's Calls, which I don't believe made the podcast. Oh, I'm sorry about that. I must have missed it because I don't recall that. Definitely would have included it. I don't think I've ever not included a voicemail unless there was just like a ton of them, you know. But I definitely have never excluded an entire person's voicemail. She says, I described the wheel in the opening credits. I noted that the stag still appears on the wheel, and my prediction is because Gendry will be made a true Baratheon in season 8. Yeah,
we've talked about that at length.
Definitely. Yeah, I think that's probably could be accurate. I love when Beric says to the Hound, go in peace, Sandor Clegane, the Lord of Light is not done with you yet. This is a foreshadow for season 7 during their reunion when the Hound sees the dead marching in the flames. Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. And last but not least, Tormund. I'll pull your guts through your throat. Love him. Fuck yeah. I have a lot in common with Lady Rachel. As usual, even our taste in music is similar. As usual, this is long, and I am sorry for that. I've watched the series close to 30 times. Yeah, I know that's crazy, but I would watch it over and over on my laptop while nursing my son when he was a baby to keep me occupied through sleepless nights. Those Lysa Arryn scenes must have been weird.
Yeah.
Well, you really know that. I love how Game of Microphones has allowed me to fall in love with the show all over again and watch it through a different lens than any time before, so thank you for that. Feel free to pick and choose from my ramblings above if you feel it's too long to include in the podcast. Fuck it, we read the whole thing. Fuck it, we'll do it live. Right. Keep being awesome, Lady K and Sir D. I hope, as always, this strikes good conversation during Raven's Calls. Your humble servant, Lady Rachel of House Fox, Queen of Long-Windedness. You can fill in the rest of my damn titles later. Awesome. Yeah, always good good stuff from her, right?
I think so.
Definitely.
All right. And looks like the last email we have is from Lord Gustavo. Hi.
Hey.
Hey. I'm still listening to your latest episode, and I just got to the part where you guys talk about the reaction videos for season 8. I could just say one thing, and that is, hell yeah, man. That'd be funny as fuck.
It'd be funny for you guys.
Keep up the great work. Gustavo Orozco Lopez.
Yeah, thanks, Lord Gustavo. Good to hear from you. And I could tell Lord Gustavo is a cool guy because he signs his name on his emails very similarly to the way I do. With like surrounded by hyphens. Like, it looks cool, man. Yeah, it'd be funny for you guys. I'll just be embarrassed, but if people want to see it, maybe I'll do it.
Hey Duncan and Kristen, it's Anwyn here. Just loving the rewatch. This episode is amazing. The last 2 have been really, really cool. I love everything that's going on. I really noticed a lot of the pairings in this episode. Jon Snow and Ygritte in the cave. Of course, everyone's been waiting for that for a while. I don't ever want to leave this cave, Jon Snow. Not ever. It was just amazing. And I'd forgotten that the Jaime and Brienne bath scene was in the same episode as well. So that was really, really cool. And once again, you're seeing 2 people who are really seeing each other differently now, which is fantastic. And you've got Arya and Gendry. She says to him, I could be your family, and he says, but you wouldn't be, you'd be my lady. And it just sort of shows they've been close while they've been on the road, but they do come from very different places. Shireen and Davos, I love their scene with the reading. That was really cool, and the start of something pretty cool and special between the 2 of them, which obviously we know now ends in heartbreak. And then Grey Worm and Missandei, it was really great to see Grey Worm the first time and to see them together, and especially timely after your reading of that essay a couple of weeks ago, which was really fantastic. And I'm going to be enjoying watching the 2 of them now with the hindsight that we have. Sansa and Littlefinger. Littlefinger using his slimy voice to the extreme. And I'm so torn, she's so naive and trusting, and I can't wait for her to wise up, but I also dread reliving all the terrible things that make her wise up. Yeah. So we've got that to look forward to. And the other thing that I loved was at the end, Tywin telling his kids off. Cersei thinks she's in this real position of power, and all of a sudden he tells her, "No, sorry, you've got to do what I say." And it was just like he's telling them off. Cersei, you're grounded. Tyrion, you're not allowed to use the iPad. It was really funny. They're just sitting there dealing with it. Anyway, thanks guys. Have a great day. See ya.
He took their electronics.
No screen time for you, children. You need to go get married.
Oh my gosh, it's so funny. Thank you, Anwyn. I could listen to her talk all the time. I love her.
Yeah, same here.
She always has great things to say.
Oh, I almost forgot.
Her accent is fantastic.
I almost just going to do the entire episode in like a broken Kiwi Aussie combination accent today, but oh well. I'm glad you did not. What are you talking about, Mike? Would have been amazing.
Oh my gosh.
Thanks, Anwyn. Always great to hear from you.
Always.
And after finally having heard the Arya Gendry scene mentioned so many times, I could be your family, but you wouldn't be. You'd be my lady. It made me think, well, if you were a married couple and you're a lord and lady, then if they were married, she would be his lady.
Yeah.
So that could be some pretty direct foreshadowing there.
Right. It was also a direct reference to, class differences.
Oh, yeah. that was the intended reference,
But it was said in this kind of sad way, almost wistful, like, if just all he needed was like a different mom, and his life could have been so different, Yeah. His father was king.
Yeah, imagine that.
I don't know.
He definitely got the shit under the stick, so he and Jon can relate, but him to the extreme. Mm-hmm. It's so great to see them hanging out, Baratheon and Targaryen or Stark, hanging out like Robert and Ned back in the day, making fun of each other and shit. So cool.
Yeah, I'd like to see more Gendry and Jon and just see how that goes.
Now that they're like together, we could see like a cool like right-hand man type relationship start to develop. Because we have Jon with elder peers like Tormund and guys like that, but we don't really have. I guess we do. He has Sam. He has had Gran,
He has Ed
still, but it'll be good for him to have. He's lost a lot of his contemporaries, Gran and Pip, guys like that. So he needs Gendry in his
bros.
life. He needs his bros.
He needs his bro pack. His wolf pack.
Yeah. John, bro.
What up, brah? Nothing much, brah. You like my hammer, brah? Yeah, brah.
Check out this hammer, dude.
You like my sword?
Whoa. That's fucking cool. Plus, Gendry is like trained under Tobho Mott, right? So he's like the top steel maker in King's Landing. So he's gonna like talk with Sam, and he's gonna learn how to make Valyrian steel based on like Sam's archaic random knowledge from the Citadel from his recent project. And he's gonna be like, oh, well, I heard about that, and I know about this. So, oh yeah, now I can make Valyrian steel.
Right.
That'd be fucking rad. And then Daenerys will be like, Dracarys, and he'll be like, like making their own like dragon fire metal and stuff. That'll be cool.
I get so excited. Like, you start saying something and then I just like go off into the clouds and I have my own little daydream, and then I'm like, oh yeah, I'm recording, I should probably come back.
Cool.
I've done it a few times where I'm like, shit.
That's the best.
That wraps it up.
All right, that's our show, episode 66. Thanks for listening, everybody.
Thank you, everybody. Namaste.
Next episode, we'll be covering Season 3, Episode 6, The Climb.
Woo!
The Climb. Give it a watch and send us your thoughts. We'd love to read them on air, really. We would.
Yes, we love your feedback. Mucho.
Yeah. So if you'd like to call, you can always reach us at 813-563-3739. That's 813-JOFFREY.
And if you'd like to write in, you can email us at game@podcastica.com.
Check out our Facebook page at facebook.com/GOMpodcast.
Impslap.
Oh!
We're also on Twitter and Instagram at GOM Podcast.
And if you have a chance, we'd really appreciate it if you guys would give us a like on Facebook and check out our page. We're always active on there. And give us an iTunes rating and review. It would really help bump us up in the search results. So we love those reviews. Thank you in advance.
Yes. And be sure to check out the other great podcasts at podcastica.com. Walking Dead is up and running again.
Yep.
If anybody's a Walking Dead fan, if you fell off the last couple of seasons, the last 2 weeks have been phenomenal. Phenomenal, in my opinion. And the Walking Dead cast is back. Jason and Karen kicked it off, and we had a special guest, Lucy from Scotland, who has guested on this podcast before.
That's so cool.
So that was this week, and both are excellent as well. So check it out.
Fuck yeah. Walking Dead
and
cast
Ash
is great.
vs. Evil Dead.
Oh, nice.
People watch that. I don't, but I know people do, and they love it.
Yeah, Ash vs. Evil Dead cast, is that what it's called?
Yes.
And guys, check out my voice acting debut on the show SIRENICIDE. You can find that on iTunes, every place you download podcasts as well. Serial horror drama with a really cool story by our friend Johnny Stitches. So yeah, check that out. I premiered on mini episode 21, which just came out. Thanks, guys. That's our show. See you guys next week.
Thank you for listening.
Yeah. Cersei.
The Mountain.
The Night King.
Euron Greyjoy.
Matthew Rep.
And see, I knew that was going to be one of yours, which is why I didn't add it to mine.
And I knew as well that you would know that it would be one of mine, so I purposely included it in mine. We are like super in sync about this.
What is your worst fear? Okay, so if we gave you your favorite thing and we covered it in it, how'd you feel about that? Go.
Horrifying scene with Willem and what's his little face, Lannister, and future Tommen.
Future Tommen.
Yeah, that's what I call him. And
he goes in and he gets it done, right? But
yeah, he does.
I mean,
get her done, boy.
Get her done, buddy.
Which is fucking epic. 2 different methods of execution combined by Lannisters in multiple occasions in this episode, so that's kind of fun.
Yeah.
Daisy, tell me the matter, do. It's like the creepiest shit ever, right?
Wow.
Yeah, I
hate her so much, but I love her.
Yeah. So it's just super fucked, and it this scene just sets the stage for all of that.
A lie. Take it out.
2 peas in a motherfucking pod. You know? And right? So we can all be crazy together.
That's the best part.
Tywin had a cool line.